Good morning, everyone. Good morning, morning, morning. Hope you're well. Day two. Day two. How are we all? How are we all? Just getting my breakfast in. Cheese toasty. Everything's good. I've got my coffee. I've got my cheese toasty. Little one's been dropped off to childminder, childcare, and I'm off work. Life is good. Commentating on F1. Bro. So news this morning as we have gone live is that in the first hour, which unfortunately we do have to miss due to childcare duties, dad duties, Lando Norris has set the fastest time of this week, quicker than what we saw yesterday by George Russell, a 33.453. However, there is a caveat there, is that it's on the C4 tyre. So that is the softest compound that we have seen this week, the C4. And Max Verstappen's lap time, who is out there all day today, set his lap on the C3, which is a steps harder if you want comparisons. So not too bad there, really. So Max's time is a very, very good time considering it's a step harder in compound. But yeah, Lando Norris did a good lap time yesterday. He didn't set a fast lap time on the mediums yesterday. So either the C3 or C4. It was only on the hard compound tyre in the morning session as well. So Oscar's going to get the afternoon session again. But interesting. McLaren looking, I think, as I said yesterday, write them off at your own peril. I think McLaren are definitely, well, all the talk's been about Mercedes and so forth. McLaren just going about their business. Opinions on the race start. It was alright. I think people are making it out to be worse than it is. Like, oh, it wasn't that quick. Yeah, but they weren't doing... It was a practice race start, but it wasn't at full speed, was it? They weren't going full beans. So... by the sounds of it, I think what is going to happen is that there is going to be a longer start procedure, i.e. they're held at the lights longer or held in their grid slots longer. I think that's what's going to happen, especially since Lewis Hamilton even referenced that in the interviews yesterday. So obviously that's where Max said, oh, if they want to start from the pit lane, they can if they think it's too dangerous, which Lewis was saying like it's not too dangerous at all. But he did reiterate that he thinks that if it's a case of just holding us at the lights a bit longer so the turbos are spooled, then so be it. So that will probably, I mean, whether Fred Vasseur wants that or not, but yeah. Got my coffee, got my large Costa. I'm having a cheese toasty. I don't normally like to eat on stream, but I didn't have enough time to eat before we went live. We're dropping a little one off. Views on Max and Vettel racing Le Mans. What is that? Is that true? Has that been spoken about? I mean, that'd be wicked if so. I mean, have we actually seen Vettel race? Oh, we got purple on the board. Lando's on a brand new set of mediums. He's on a brand new set of C4s, I think, and he's gone fastest in the first sector. Purple. Stay tuned, everyone. Now they've had that compression ratio, basically now they've had to confirm that they can have their engines until August. The Mercedes engine boys are turning it up. Let's see as he heads his way through turn 12. 40.6, not as quick as last time, but a 40.6 is still pretty dab handy for in the middle sector. Anything sub 41 is. Here we go. Last corner for him. Is this going to be a low 133? Is he going to be faster than a 33.4? Is he going to back out of it? Let's see. Oh, a 33.9. 33.9. Just watching the TV coverage. Does look like he was pushing it. But he lost a lot of time in that middle sector. What's wrong with the Ferrari? I don't know if there is anything actually wrong with the Ferrari. Lewis has only done 5 laps at the moment. I mean, I would presume there probably is if Lewis has only done 5 laps. But remember, 4 hours is a long time. You don't have to be out there for every single minute of every single session. I'll stick my headphones in shortly to hear any of the TV coverage, to hear if there's anything, any info. And of course, we'll check Twitter as well and see what's been occurring there, or X, however you like to call it now. They talked about it with Alonso. Oh. I mean, yeah, wow. That would be a proper team, wouldn't it? Maybe, Rabbit, yeah. Maybe. McLaren did this last year, if you remember, in practice sessions as well. They would always do a proper push lap and then back out of it in the last sector. What happened after yesterday's meeting? Oh, Liam Lawson had a big snap into turn 11. That's catching a lot of people out this week. Not a lot, really. Not a lot, but I'll say not a lot. Nothing with immediate action, but I'll discuss it in a sec. I've got 2 more bites of this. Hang on. Why is Cadillac not out? Issues probably again. Just like they had all day yesterday. That wind definitely catches some drivers out into turn 11 if it's in the wrong direction. I did, Mario, yeah. Yeah, it's the clip that I saw of Lewis Hamilton, so like the overlay of like all four teams and where they braked. And yeah, Lewis definitely did brake a lot later and made up a lot of time, didn't he? It's going to be interesting because I saw something on the race yesterday and they were talking about the Mercedes and how the Mercedes compared to the Ferrari and McLaren is harvesting its energy at the end of turn 14 or something. So like they were purposely obviously saying like there's different strategies being developed in where teams are recovering the battery. They did say that Mercedes did look very, very good yesterday, just from what they saw trackside. But yeah. Good idea for breakfast, yeah. So, coffee. Oh, I need a strong caffeine here. Strong caffeine here. Oh, Verstappen's gone green in the first sector. He's on a brand new set of mediums, so let's just keep an eye out on this. It's a tenth slower than Norris in the first sector, but it could be different deployment, you know. So he needs to have, wow, Norris did a 40.381 in the middle sector earlier. That is, wow. 40.9 for Max, so still quicker, still good. Music a little loud. I can turn the music down a little bit, it's no issue. Just a little bit, there you go. The music's there kind of to fill the dead noise, the dead silence, you know, when I'm not speaking. I mean, I know I do a pretty good job at it, speaking for a whole day, like 6-7 hours. But there are a few times where I do have to just rest the vocal cords and look at the TV coverage. Max looks like he's sandbagging, not sure. Maybe. I'm just looking at the TV coverage now and... Oh, big step out of the rear as he got on throttle out of the last corner. Max is still using the C3 tyre, by the way, so it doesn't have as much grip as what Lando was on, which is the C4. So that's also why his speed would be down on Norris in the middle sector, because that's where you need more grip, of course. And the harder the compound, the less grip you have. But the more durable it is. Norris locked up twice in the pits yesterday. Wonder if McLaren will be the car to beat this time out. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I think I did go, whoa, yesterday when I saw it, because it was an aggressive lockup. And he was veering way off to the right-hand side when he was coming into the pits and locking up there. But yeah, sorry, going back to the Lewis Hamilton braking stuff and that, we had that overshot, the overlay of the models of each team and their laps, like their fastest laps in the day or whatever it was. There's different strategies there's different strategies at the moment in relation to where teams are recovering energy. Some are braking a bit earlier, lifting coasting a bit early, lifting coasting some more, and recovering it that way into like the first corner or the other corners. And some are choosing it at different areas of the track. So it is going to make racing interesting, because the thing is as well is that we still don't truly know the impact of dirty air. Now, it should be reduced because of how the cars have been designed aerodynamically, but to create less outwash and more inwash, so that the displaced air goes through the car and out directly through a narrower window out the back of the car, rather than all out and widespread like it was in the ground effect era. So that should make following a lot easier. But track position is always key. It's always going to be in F1. And I think it's going to be interesting when we do eventually come to the races, like how is that going to be affected? Like, drivers will still want to be out in front and manage the race from there. I mean, you always want to, especially with like the tyres as well. Tyre management is still going to be a thing. So are we going to see any? Are we going to have any 100%, 107% DSQs? I really hope not. No, that would be the aim for Audi, Honda. I don't think we will. I think the 107% rule. I don't think anyone, even though like testing looks bad for Aston Martin and Cadillac are having their troubles right now, reliability-wise. I don't think when push comes to shove in Melbourne and the first few races that they'll be that far off. At least that's my hope anyway. My hope is that no team is a like a true back marker, you know, where they get lapped all the time. We don't want that. Did I see Max's new braking strat where he's going very low in the gears on turns? Yes, because that's my understanding is that is to help aid in the spooling of the turbo, to keep the limits, the rev limits up for the turbo. Apologies if my terminology is wrong there, but basically to keep the turbo spun up. Keep the levels high, and also it helps with recovery as well, by riding the throttle and having those revs high. It aids in energy recovery and keeps the turbo spooled up so that you've got that boost out of the corners. Top speed checks, yeah, we can do just in 2 seconds. Is that lap from Norris quicker than Russell yesterday? Yes, only slightly, but yes, it is quicker. I believe so. I'll double check in a second. Gaming. Aero is basically DRS, but you don't need to be in 1 second. Can I explain how this is such a big change and there's so much hype around it? So we touched upon this yesterday. I've brought it up a few times. To be honest, it's a gimmick. What it is there for is to just help increase the top speeds at certain sections on the track. So as you can see here, we have active zones now, where every driver, no matter what position they're in, no matter whether they're leading, whether they're a second ahead of the car ahead, it's not like DRS anymore. Everyone has access to active aero straight line mode every single lap in all of these zones. And because of that, it's kind of a defunct system. There's not really any need for it. It increases the top speed, of course, but because everyone has it, it doesn't really do much. You could just remove it and have like still the battery mode and so forth. And removing it, I'm interested to see actually, would removing it make interesting maybe a bit more? Would it make racing a bit more interesting and maybe help somewhat more with the slipstream? because you're creating more drag if you've not got obviously your rear wing open and your front wing flap down, so you're not less aerodynamically smoother through the air, shall we say. But yeah, it's basically not active aero in essence. Active aero, in my personal opinion, and how I would determine that to be, is that drivers are able to alter the level of the wing angles manually through corners or heading into corners. That's how active aero. That's how I thought active aero was going to work, and that's not the case. So really, these zones are kind of irrelevant because everyone has access to it every single lap, regardless if they're 1 second behind the car or further back from the car in front anyway, and the car that is ahead also has that availability to it. What is different, of course, is the overtake mode, where you get an extra level of energy that is available to you, but only if you've got that stored. That's not like it's in a separate battery that you can just use from your main unit. It's from the MG UK. It is literally just, you still need to store up for that and account for it, and that is where you need to be within a second of the car behind, which is that pink dot on your screen. That's the activation zone, and then the green dot there is where you can then press the button, or you can use it basically from that green dot and use it wherever you want on the lap. There is no designated zone for you to use overtake mode, so you can use it in turn 4 to turn 8 if you wanted to. So yeah. Now it's being neutralised, and what exactly doing overtakes? Exactly. I don't know what the... I don't know. I just think active aero is a bit of a gimmick, and I don't think anyone will really focus on it after a couple of races. At least I won't be focusing on it, that's for sure. Are overtake zones going to be the same as DRS zones? No. So as I just mentioned, overtake zones are just anywhere on the next lap you can use it. Of course, we've seen how quickly the battery depletes. So really, the overtake mode is only going to be useful for a very short period of time. It's literally going to be like a burst of energy. So of course, you probably want to use it on a straight, but it's just not going to be... it's just not going to be something that you can use like push to pass in IndyCar and so forth, where you get extra deployment throughout the whole lap. It's going to be, okay, I get overtake mode and it's going to help me down the start finish straight. You're going to want to use it on straights, not use it in the corners maybe. You can't be the only one who just wants to see these cars driven at full tilt. Yeah. Look, I've said I don't ever really need to see the cars driven at 100% all the time. Of course, qualifying is when you do truly want to see them on the limit. But I do like the fact that there is tyre management and sometimes engine management and stuff like that. That's always been part and parcel of motor racing in any series. And it's something that we will still continue to see this year. But we've now got an extra added level of management. And this is the problem, and this is the concerns. And this is what really, like, the likes of Martin Brundle and those employed by Formula One, really, are coming out and saying, oh, there's always been management in F1. Yes, there always has been, but not to this extent. Yes, when maybe your engine is on its last knock-ins and it's done 5-6 races in a row, yeah, you need to not maybe rev it up as high because it's going to be very sensitive. And then the tyres as well. You don't always push on every single lap of tyre, do you? Because the tyres will just end up falling apart and not lasting very long. So qualifying, yes, is definitely where we want to see them pushing at 100%. But when it comes to the race, like, we've added this battery management. This is where, and the thing is, this battery management is essential. It's not an assistance anymore. It's essential to how the cars operate and how your speed is effective and how you're going to be able to make up positions. And that's where the drivers have an issue, the fans have an issue, and that's really where the people defending these regulations to when they're taking that viewpoint anyway. I'm all up for obviously defending the regulations and still being reserved until we head to the first races of the season and seeing how they actually operate in the race. But those who are defending it from that angle, but there's always been management. No, come on. That's the wrong outlook and the wrong defense of these regs, really. How many times do they need to recharge in a lap if they're pushing hard? Quite a lot. I mean, you can see the battery. When you see some of the onboards, you can see that the battery depletes before they get down to the end of the start-finish straight. That's why obviously we get this clipping, and this is why the top speed drops off before they, even though they stand on full throttle, even with active aero open, before they get into the braking zone of turn 1. So you do consciously have to think about going slower and using more brake and different ways, different techniques of being able to recharge it so that you've got that extra pace down the straights, because this is the problem that I guess Max and the drivers are echoing at the moment, is that the time isn't made up in the time. Going fast in the corners doesn't make you up time anymore. It's actually a detriment to you, because if you go fast into the corners and you don't use the right braking and manage the engine in a certain way to ensure that you've got the turbo spooled up and that you've got the necessary battery, you're just going to be a sitting duck and slow down the straights, which is where the time is made up. So yeah, we'll see how it pans out in a race scenario. We haven't got long to wait to find out, have we? But Bottas, Cadillac are out. Well done. Come on, Caddy, you need a good day today. Cadillac need a good day. So sorry, I'm going to get the speed traps up for you now as well. Let's do that. Here we go. So speed traps, and well, we always do the fastest times at the end of the day, more so in the morning session. It's a bit windier in the morning as well. But this is kind of a good indication of who's pushing and who isn't in certain areas. Like yesterday, we saw the Ferraris around 15 kilometers an hour slower in Sector 1. Whether that speed trap is for Sector 1, I think that's at the end of Turn 4, maybe. Just before Turn 4. That is compared to the Mercedes. So the Mercedes were pushing a lot more than Ferrari yesterday. And I think Professor confirmed that as well. So basically, the overtake mode is the same that we had in 2012. Yeah, it's a similar system to KERS, yeah, basically. Except it depletes a lot quicker. See a new overlays of lap speed from the test. I don't think overtake will be a problem, as the difference in corner speed was wide due to the car when the car's recharged. Yeah. No, they can't take. I think so. The only quote we have thus far, and the only insight we have thus far into how long it takes to recharge for the overtake mode, is Isaac Hadjar had a bit of a slip of the tongue, and he said that it took him 5 laps to recover overtake mode, or recover the usage for overtake mode. That's what he said. So yeah, you'd expect it to be able to be recovered in at least like 1 lap, wouldn't you? And that's tricky, and that's also not a good sign as well, because Bahrain has a lot of hard braking zones. It has like a mixture of hard, fast-ish and low-speed corners. It's got enough corners here to be able to recharge. It's one of the better tracks for battery recovery. Whereas when we head to Melbourne, there's not a lot of hard braking zones. The likes of Saudi, like these tracks are going to be very difficult when it comes to managing the battery and recovering them. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that. And I guess the concerns is that we're just going to see drivers go obviously slower than they need to, by keeping those revs very high, by being in lower gears, to ensure that they can have that top speed on the flat sections. So yeah, everyone seems to be heading more towards management and trying to be efficient, less than trying to go faster and faster, push harder. Yeah, I think that will change. I think it will. I think, look, one thing F1 is very good at is that they are very good at, I say very good at, I mean, but they're definitely more aware of the fan presence. They're very much aware of what is being said online, and they very much do take into consideration, obviously not what the drivers do, but they know that their product, they know that they need to keep a certain level of fan engagement. And if they lose that fan engagement, then they're not going to keep riding this high or keep the levels that they've currently got in viewership and sponsorship and income. So it's essential for them to ensure that the right changes are made based upon obviously what people that they speak to. And they have very, very many different avenues of gathering that information. Some of it is, or not all of it is going to be from online, because of course sometimes online is an echo chamber, and sometimes the minority are the loudest, and then you have like the silent majority. So they'll be asking people trackside, they'll be asking people through surveys and things like that. Like they'll have different forms of of information gathering, and they'll make probably, hopefully, informed decisions off of the back of that, as well as obviously from the drivers. Because I think ultimately they could probably go, yeah, the drivers, a racing driver's never going to be 100% happy. Racing drivers like to moan, they always do, and it's a case of, okay, well, what do the fans truly want? Is it still a spectacle to watch? Do fans still enjoy the trackside experience? Do fans still, are they still tuning in, and are they interested in the battle? Like, let's be real, right? Let's be real. If these, we're very fickle F1 fans, aren't we? We're very fickle. Why have I not got that up there? I haven't got the, I was just realising there's a gap missed up there. But we are very fickle as F1 fans, aren't we? If we, with all this complaining that we've had, and let's be real, there's not much else to talk about at the moment because we haven't had any races. But if we end up getting a close championship battle between multiple drivers, kind of like we did last year, to be honest, we're pretty much going to end up being happy. We're going to come the end of the season and go, yeah, that was like, yeah, we could have maybe done with some better racing, but you know what? Like, it's not often that we get two drivers fighting for the championship to the last race of the season. Like, that's not the norm in F1. So if we get a decent championship battle between between two drivers, or more than two drivers in an ideal world, then we'll be happy as F1 fans, and there'll be lots for us to talk about because we have an overarching story, in essence, to look forward to throughout the season. And then we obviously, at the end of the season, we can nitpick of, was that a good race, was that not a good race, and so forth. So yeah. Would there be any lap records broken this season? No way. These cars are undoubtedly slower. I reckon there's probably at least another couple of seconds in these cars. They're not showing their full hand at all. There's another couple of seconds in these cars for sure. I think they're probably a couple of seconds slower than what we had previously. Not in the corners, of course, but down the straights they're a lot quicker. So there won't be any lap records though, just purely because these cars don't have the cornering ability. Overtake mode is just a fancy term for proper battery deployment, in your opinion? To be honest, we're going to see the best driver with battery management win, not the fastest driver. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be essential, but still, these guys are racing drivers, aren't they? They're racing drivers. If they see an opportunity for an overtake, they're going to do it. And I guess the thing is as well is that, like, yes, the battery management is going to be essential, but what if you are able to disrupt that person's battery management in front by making a lunge down the inside, or making a move over the around the outside to disrupt where the guy ahead of you has been just like comfortably managing their battery where they have been, or in whichever way they want. What if you then try and disrupt that? What if you then go, okay, well, I'm just going to go like a little bit slower in this corner, or I'm going to make a lunge into this corner or something, like so that they aren't able to hit their perfect braking marker and they don't quite hit that gear shift or whatever, and you get that launch on them. Like, it's going to I think there's going to be some games played with that, and I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. So we'll see. But this is what I want to, and this I'm just going to keep saying it every single time until we get this information, because I'm still yet to see it. I'm watching the TV coverage now, and there is not an inkling of a battery graphic. We need a graphic that details the level of battery that these guys have. I'm sorry, we need it. Where if it's just a percentage, where it just says 100%, like we've got just a number, and it tells us what level they're at, but we need that. I'm really surprised that we still haven't got that, and that's not been decided for testing. Hopefully we get that when it comes to Melbourne in a few weeks' time, and we get that in the practice sessions, but we need that, and it's going to be so essential for us viewing. And for me, I want it for commentary as well. I want to be able to detail you guys and know, okay, well, he's like, gives it allows us as viewers to see the overall picture of the battles and the race ahead or in front of us, because we can see where someone's maybe, yes, they're not attacking here because they're managing here or whatever, and like, it's going to be essential viewing for us, and I really hope that we still do get it. I'm going to keep repeating it until we do. Is qualifying with 22 drivers the same? Yes, it's still going to be Q1, Q2, Q3. However, in the first Q1 and Q2 session, there will be 6 eliminations. So there'll be 6 drivers that miss out, and then that will leave 10 drivers in the final Q3. So there will still be 10 drivers shooting it out for the final 10 spots, but in Q1 and Q2 there will be 6 eliminations. The 9-car practice start went well with all cars off the line. The Cadillac looks awesome, stole the show like a bullet. Yeah, they all just wanted to see how their launch initially would be, and I think it was better. But of course, they then very quickly lifted off the throttle and didn't worry about speeding down into turn 1. It can't be right if it takes 5 laps recharge for overtake mode. That's only 10 attempts per race per car. Surely that's not correct. As I said, that's the only bit of information, bit of insight that we've gained from any driver on overtake mode or team principle. From my understanding, is that from Isaac Hadjar. So I hope he's wrong. I really do hope he's wrong, and it's a lot more simpler than that. But yeah. Max will probably do a lot of dirty racing this season then. I mean, maybe. I mean, to a certain extent, I think sometimes we need it. Yeah, we don't want it to be... We don't want things to be just a procession every single race, do we? So, in Q1 and Q2, 6 drivers will be eliminated. Yeah, there we go. On the same page. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, look, Sarah, there's things that the drivers are going to say. They're going to say them intentionally to divert attention, to divert away from certain things. So maybe that's a ploy for them to say, oh, well, we're struggling. Interesting. So, Ferrari have a new rear wing. I'll see if I can try and get footage of it, or at least a clip of it. But Ferrari have a new rear wing today, and this may be why he's in the pits, because maybe they're changing the rear wing over Hamilton, where the rear wing doesn't just open on the straight, right? So it doesn't just go open. It then flips upside down in an effort to minimize drag when it closes again. What? I need to see an image of this. Ferrari being innovative with their DRS design. That is crazy. Oh, hang on, I've got a clip here. Have they got it? Oh, hang on. Oh, wow. Look at that. I can show you this. Just a quick clip. Just a quick, because it's a Twitter clip. All right. Can I zoom in anymore? There we go. Just quickly watch this. Watch the rear wing. It zooms in. Ready? Ready? What? Yoink. That's cool. Ferrari. Ferrari, who are you? Who are you, and what have you done with Ferrari? This is not the Ferrari I'm aware of. Innovative. Forward-thinking. My goodness. My goodness. Maybe I've had too much of a caffeine here, but that's cool. I like it. I like it. Similar to like the Alpine's iteration of how their one like sits down, doesn't it? It's very different. Very different. Ferrari came prepared, and of course yesterday they turned up with the exhaust flap, didn't they, as well, which is covering the exhaust, and that's why you'll see maybe on TV coverage a bit more imagery of, or a bit more smoke, exhaust fumes coming out the back of the Ferrari. It's not smoking, it's just the fact of that they've put like this diffuser. Is it diffuser? I don't know if it's exhaust diffuser. Is that what they're calling it? It is something of the past. It is something that was utilised in the past back in the day. And they would... basically, it's provided them some more points of downforce by utilising the air, the hot air that comes out of the exhaust. I don't know how effective it is, but of course they've done the calculations, and it's definitely worthwhile in doing. And supposedly this is the this isn't something that all teams can just implement and stick on the back of their car, because Ferrari have designed the rear of their car in a particular way. It works that way, or it just works. It's not something that Mercedes can then just go and slap on. They would have to kind of accommodate the whole rear of the car to make that work. So very interesting ideas that they've come out with this week, Ferrari, and I think the car has looked a lot more balanced from what we saw yesterday, and there was some good lap times from, I say Lewis didn't really get to set a good push lap, but the car definitely looked a lot better yesterday from a handling perspective. Someone said if it malfunctions, it could be catastrophic. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's also the case for, I guess, that's also the case of Alpine as well. Because the thing is with the normal slot gap that you have with with like the DRS, the rear wing, is that if it does fail, it will just fall back into position. Like gravity does its thing. Whereas like Alpine, as an example, if it fails, then there's nothing to push it back up, is it? It's just staying down. Similar with this, I mean, if it fails, but I imagine also there's probably a fail safe in that as well that allows it to just drop straight down rather than flip over. But it's interesting, very interesting. But we haven't seen Lewis Hamilton back out on track yet since this. Well, I haven't seen him at all. So, yeah. But very, very, very interesting concept that they've got there. Is that going to work or not? We'll see. Hey Alan, good to see you, mate. Evening, yes, it is evening where you are, isn't it? Dragsters in the 50s are pointing all exhaust skyward to help keep the cars on the ground. It ain't that new. No, that's what I mean. It's not new in relation to, like, this has been implemented in F1 before as well. I can't remember what year it was, but I did see someone say that and give examples of it yesterday. But it's still innovative in relation to like modern F1. We haven't seen that concept used. I don't think we've seen that concept used in the last, like, what's in the hybrid era at all. So you're going back to 2014, so over a decade. But it's forward thinking from Ferrari, isn't it? It's thinking outside the box. What Ferrari also have had a habit of doing before is that they have always had a habit of kind of just copying other teams and kind of like following the concept that they think is best. Whereas Ferrari now seem to be a bit more innovative and thinking like, right, we need to be striving to find that edge. And I like that. It's a difference in approach. It's kind of like a new Ferrari. And that's what you need. Max with a fast green first sector, but then slow in the middle sector. And he comes across the line with a green last sector. So lost a bit of time in the middle, Max. Not entirely sure why that was. On the C3 again, on a push lap. 7 tenths down by the time he ended his second sector. So he had a green first sector, but then lost so much time in the middle. So clearly, when they do this, they must be playing around with battery deployment. They must be playing around with where the battery is deployed and just not doing anything with it and just focusing on full recovery in the middle sector. Because he was 7 tenths down in the middle sector on his best lap. And then he ended up with a green last sector with probably a full recovery of the battery in the middle. And still only ended up, what? A tenth, just over a tenth down on his best lap. High performance. Yeah, I think high performance, not so much. I think it's more so probably just playing around with what they can do with the battery and just figuring things out. But the teams are still working on that. Trying different ways to seeing what kind of strategies, like, because they're obviously developing their own strategies as well, aren't they? They'll be using the data that they're gathering here and seeing how they can do things. I mean, there's probably times where they've not deployed in the first sector, but then deployed in the second and third sector, just to see how things have worked out. So, yeah, different ways to recharge and the best places to do so. I mean, that's what testing is about, isn't it? To see, because you're going to have different tracks, aren't you? You're going to have tracks where there isn't a lot of places to recover energy. So you want to see how the car is affected when you deploy fully in one area and don't in another and things like that. So, well, love you. Yeah. I've got today and tomorrow off work. I booked it off. As I said, I was getting very busy at work, and I feel like I needed a break anyway. So this testing has come around at a good time. So it's been nice to get. I'm still getting up the same time I would for work in the morning, because I've got to do drop off still for little one. But that's normal. So that's all right. So no lay-ins for me, unfortunately. But yeah, it's good. It's good to be live. Cheese and Toasty, you went rogue. Inspired by the Ferrari mechanics. You went outside the box. You're thinking outside the box. So I'm trying to see if there's any information on Lewis Hamilton right now, because he hasn't been out since we went live. So he's done 5 laps overall, and that is it. Okay, so the FIA has news on the start procedure today, guys, or just this week in general. The FIA has confirmed that the new start procedure with the 5-second flashing blue panels element, which has been added, will be trialled at the end of each session in Bahrain. So that means we will see 4 more attempts at it. So they are going to... Those flashing blue lights, I assume, obviously, for you to then... that's like spooling the turbo up mode. And then it's like, okay, lights out now, here we go. Or red lights on, lights out, here we go. So yeah, here we go. Here's the start procedure. So, at the end of the day, so this was yesterday, basically. They said a red flag will be shown and all cars will return to the pit lane. The cars will then complete a formation lap, followed by an additional formation lap, before lining up on the grid for a simulated race start. So 2 formation laps. Once all cars are in position, a new pre-start warning will begin. All grid panels will flash blue for 5 seconds. After the blue warning ends, the usual start sequence will begin. That's what they tested yesterday. So Max Verstappen now doing some laps on the C3, I think it is. He's on the C3. Not a good day at the office yesterday, was it, for Aston Martin? Have you guys seen the images of Adrian Newey yesterday with Lance Stroll? Does the FIA have secret testing and regulations? They don't, no. They have just simulators now. They do everything via simulators. So, yeah. Let me have a look, see if I can find this clip for you. And I do think McLaren are being overlooked, yeah. I mean, they're starting to gain. Here we go. This is what we had yesterday. Look at this. Oh, God, that's not a good sign, is it? A little quick look to the camera as well. Who can lip read? Who can lip read? We need one of those TikTokers who do all the lip reading. I'm surprised they're having this conversation out in the open, you know. I'm really surprised. I'm surprised this isn't something that's happening behind closed doors. I mean, that's a lot of hand movements from Lance Stroll. He does that, which I assume is bouncing. He's not happy. Oh, dear. I mean, was there a reason they did that there? It was... I don't know. I don't know what you get from that. What do you get from doing that out in public, right? Where the cameras are there. What are you trying to gain? What, but it's not Nui's fault, Peter? I don't know. Maybe. He's clearly very annoyed at the camera being glued to his face. Well, do it inside. You've got a whole big, massive unit there. But yeah, I don't think you need to be a body language expert to see that doesn't... that's not positive body language, is it? At all. Oh, just see George Russell lock up into turn 10. You know what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen. Anyone who knows anything about Fernando Alonso will know that it always becomes an engine problem. It's Honda's problem. It's not going to be Nui's problem. It's going to be Honda's problem. You know exactly from a mile away that's what's going to happen. But I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to comment too much, but I'd be surprised if it's fully on Honda. It's probably something that Honda have had to accommodate in the Adrian Newey design, and something isn't working well off the back of that. It may not just be Honda, it may also be Aramco as well with the fuel. So there's so many different moving parts, but yeah, overall it's not all coming together, is it? For them at the moment, so... he was just saying to Lance Stroll, okay, Lance, we just need a bigger check from your dad. I think he's got enough, to be honest with you. The amount of money they've put into it, but yeah, not looking good for Aston Martin. Maybe they'll be able to turn it around, but I think this start of this season is going to be difficult for them. I think they'll probably... I don't think they'll finish last, because I think they're development-wise and the level of resource that they've got, I think they'll be able to turn things around. But their first half of their season may be so poor that it's one of those. It may be one of those where it ends up being like they finish very well in the second half of the season. And you're like, if only they started off the season well. Newey and his ego, team principal will be the downfall of Aston, in your opinion? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's definitely knowledgeable enough. I mean, he's now made the excuse that they're 4 months behind already because of his gardening leave. He wasn't able to start the project and get involved with the project sooner than he'd like. Obviously, he was creating designs off on his gardening leave, but that's what supposedly he is now using as an excuse. It may be a valid excuse for sure, but yeah, maybe what he's done is he's created a design where he's asked Honda to accommodate his design, squeeze everything into a tight area, and Honda just have been like, well, how are we supposed to turn that around in such a short amount of time? And maybe things have been rushed, and I don't know. Massive assumptions from myself, but clearly not happy in Aston Martin camp, is it? Honda did lose a lot of workers to Red Bull. Since the workers, though, they might lose their jobs, so they partner with Ford and Red Bull. Yeah, and you'd be stupid if he wasn't Red Bull as well, because I think it was announced in 2021, wasn't it, that Honda were going to be pulling out of the sport or something, or 2022. So, and that Red Bull were going to be creating their own powertrain unit. So it makes sense to take on the staff that have helped you be successful. Why not? So yeah, the people that are now working at Honda aren't the Red Bull, but are probably at Red Bull now, or gone to other areas within Honda. They're closer to Alpine than Red Bull. Who's that? Aston? I would say they're close. Alpine are probably far up, way ahead of Aston Martin in performance at the moment. I say quietly positive. I am positive about Alpine's chances this year of being the quickest in the midfield. I think they're going to have a good battle with Williams. I don't think they're going to make the strides forward to be fighting the McLaren and Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes consistently. But I think there may be an odd race where they are competitive, with a Mercedes engine in the back of their car. You've got to remember as well is that they pretty much spent they didn't put like any resource into their car last year. It was like a write-off last year. They are still looking to be bought out as well. And the reason why I don't think they'll fully get into the top, be one of those top teams, is because they're still looking to be bought out and still sell the team. So that's still an ongoing process for them. So there's going to be a limited amount of resource that they do put into the team until like a prospective buyer comes in. But yeah, probably loving the fact I did see. I think I did see a quote. I can't remember exactly the quote it was, but Flavio Briatore did look very chipper. He was very chipper in his interview. So a weird telemetry glitch put Lance Stroll in 60th gear. I did see that, Mike. Yeah. That's just a clear indication that something went on with the gearbox, didn't it? It's not too far-fetched to think Nui, after 30 years, ran out of ideas. Oh, he's definitely not run out of ideas, because you only have to look at the design of that car. But whether those ideas work with all the moving parts and this formula is another thing. But we may be looking back at it and going, but the pain that they're having now may be worthwhile come the end of the year, or heading into next year, you know. But we'll see. Anyone mentioned subscribing yet? No! Even I haven't mentioned subscribing yet. Please do, guys. Please hit that subscriber count. Hit the subscriber. I know the subscribers will come. But yeah, if you're enjoying this stream, guys, if you've been enjoying the content this week, we are back on it. I know I've lost actually a lot of subscribers since the start of, since the end of Abu Dhabi, because my content in the off season has not been consistent. Hey ho, it is what it is. But we're picking back up on that now. More content coming your way. I did see someone yesterday say, am I going to do a predictions video? I wasn't going to, but I am going to put something together over this weekend. I'm going to put my predictions. You know who my World Championship bet is. But I'm going to do an order from 22nd to 1st. And I'm going to put a video out over the course of this weekend. Because, yeah, why not? And do it a bit differently as well, because we have the testing information. Everyone does their predictions before testing, which is okay. Everyone can do it in their own way. But I'm going to kind of go upon what I've seen from testing and base it kind of around that and my thoughts and feelings. So, and then, of course, before we know it, we'll be doing a preview video for Australia, because that is in a couple of weeks' time, isn't it? Australia? When is the first date of Australia? Let's have a look. F1 calendar. Is it the first weekend? Let's have a look. 6th to the 8th. Yeah, 6th to the 8th. So. Sky made an astute point that anyone with a new thing is struggling. Audi and Aston with their new engines and Cadillac. Yeah, exactly. It's always difficult. It's always difficult. They may sort their gremlins out and come in Melbourne and they'll be like, woo! They're like super quick. And we're like, what? Power Devil. I've been watching me since a couple of years, and it was just and I was in your shittest days, both mentally and physically. But your lives helped me lots to reduce stress. Oh, thank you, buddy. It's always nice to hear that the channel and what we do here has a positive impact on others. Of course, I don't set out to do that. I won't lie. Like, I'm not here to obviously make each and every single individual's life better. But if that is a byproduct of what I do here from the passion project that this is, because I'm passionate about F1 and chatting to you guys about this. I mean, I'm having so much fun, like just knowing I'm streaming ahead of the day and being able to talk F1. Like, I love that. And if I can do that for a career, that's great. But yeah, I'm glad that I could bring you guys some positivity and some enjoyment and escapism of the sport that you love for, even if it is just a few hours at a time over the weekend. Because that's what sport is all about, isn't it? It's about the ups and downs, of course, of whoever you support. It's not all happy days, especially if you support the football team that I do here in the UK, West Ham, if you're wondering. So there are higher moments, there are low moments, but for the most part, yeah, we can bring some positivity to you guys. And I love that. I love clicking the live button and bringing you what we're doing, and looking forward to the rest of the day and tomorrow as well, because we still have tomorrow to go. But glad to hear you are much better for it, in a better place now. So thank you. Which year had the biggest growth? Last year, Beaver. Yeah, last year. Each year's had... relative to where I started each year, the growth has been brilliant. Each year has been great. Since I've been doing the watch-alongs, I've basically... I think since I've been doing the watch-alongs, I've doubled and focused on F1 content. I have doubled my subscriber count from whichever level I was. I doubled my subscriber count each year. But subscriber count is kind of just a vanity thing, to be honest with you. It isn't. It's obviously a barometer of how kind of, to a certain extent, how successful you are, because it means that people like your content enough that they want to follow you. But it's more so about viewership. The viewer count and the viewers and so forth that we've gained over the last year and the last couple of years has been unbelievable. And that's what matters, really. Especially like the finale of last year was just obscene, absolutely obscene. So yeah, looking forward to this year again. You've had your Lando victory. I'm happy with that. I just want a good fight with some real racing action this season. Yeah, that's what I want every single year. I don't ask for a lot. Like, I said this before. I said this before. Like, I don't care if there's a driver that I don't particularly like. And there isn't really anyone that I don't like on the grid. I like more people than others, more drivers than others, of course, as it's only natural. But I just want to, I don't care if the same driver wins the same championship year in, year out. As long as they're made to fight for it year in, year out. That's what I want. I want a good battle every single year. No one wants to see someone just drive off into the distance, like every single race, because it's not enjoyable. It's the same thing as when you're like I imagine it like, maybe there are Celtic fans in here. And this is the team that instantly comes to my mind. But obviously, there was a short period where Rangers, your arch rivals, got relegated to Division 1 for financial reasons, I think it was. And you won the championship like 10 years in a row with like no competition. And I kind of would imagine being a Celtic fan, but that's a bit boring. There's a point where winning becomes a bit boring. Like there's fun in the competition. That's what sport is about as well, is the competition and how you win. And being pushed to the limits to do that. And that's what I want to enjoy in F1. I want to see these drivers pushed to the limits, and I want to see two drivers at least be put under pressure and have those moments and watch them like have that journey through the year. I mean, you look at Lando last year, the journey that he had, like just struggling, obviously trying to beat Piastri, struggled with the car at the start of the year, and then he had that engine failure and we thought it was all over for him, and then I'd still love to have a chat with Lando personally, like an interview, just to say like, what happened inside your mind? Like, what did you do? Who did you speak to? What approach did you take when you came back after Zandvoort? Because from the outside it looked like something switched. You were just a completely different man, a completely different driver. Your confidence just started to grow and grow and grow as the season went on. And it is like, if you were that driver at the start of the season, then the championship would have been wrapped up quite comfortably. But it's interesting to see from like a sports psychology perspective as well, of like how these top professional sportsmen like deal with things. And they deal with things in like trying to gain something that they've always wanted their whole life. So, excuse me, Mrs. Stuffey. Aren't you supposed to be working? Clearly not very busy this morning. She's clearly not very busy at work, guys. Alan, just being a part of this community, even though I don't comment so much, got you through the darkest year last year, losing both your brothers. Yeah, you did tell me about that, Alan. I'm really sorry to hear about that. But glad, obviously, we was able to be, as I said, like an outlet for you to just switch off from the outside world. That's what we try and do. That's what I do as well. Like, I look forward to these, like when thankfully, yeah, obviously times haven't been tough and that, but we all have moments where we're like, oh, I just need to kind of like switch off or just forget about something, whether it be the day job or something going on in your life. And for me, the watch-alongs are a good escape from that as well. And from just the world in itself. I don't touch upon the world in itself, but obviously, especially when you turn on the news, it's not exactly all rosy, is it? So it's nice to focus on the sport, and that's why I'm trying to stay a bit more. I'm cautious, of course, about the regulations, but that's why I'm still trying to have an air of positivity about the regulations and reserve my thoughts somewhat and my criticisms until we see these regulations in an actual race, because I want this sport to succeed. If the sport succeeds, generally speaking, I should succeed as well, and we all get to enjoy the sport that we love. So that's, if we criticize things, especially myself, if I criticize the sport, it's only because of my love of it, and I want it to do well, and I want to enjoy it, just like you all do as well. But glad to see that you are in a much better place as well, Alan. So yeah, appreciate you tuning in, and everyone who tunes in as well. Not everyone chats, by the way. I understand that. I myself watch a lot of streams and I don't chat. So everyone who keeps continuing to tune in, and if you've been a long-time viewer as well, don't be afraid to say hello, but I appreciate you and hope everyone is looking forward to this season. What is happening to Ferrari? Don't know at the moment. I actually don't know. I'm going to plug in my earphones because I haven't got them plugged in. I need to listen to some TV commentary because it allows me it allows me an opportunity to hear what is going on trackside. So just bear with me. They've all gone for a bacon butty. Now they've all gone for a what is? I was in Rome last year. Croissant. They've all gone for an espresso and a croissant. Or a pastry, whatever the Italian breakfast is. Normally it's a smoke and a croissant and an espresso. That's normally the standard Italian breakfast, isn't it? I mean, that's what I saw a lot of when I was in Rome. I'm not stereotyping there. I'm just saying what I visually saw in Rome. There we go. Beaver, my season finale stream was almost 750,000 views. Yeah, it was crazy. What was it? It was, how much did we have? We had 81,000 viewers was the final viewer count. Like peak viewership. It was mental. So yeah, if you told the me of not even the start of last year, but the year before, so 2023, that's where the live stream would be, or the live streams would be come the end of the year, I wouldn't have believed you. So yeah, no, it's yeah, it gives me confidence in what we're doing here, and that we can continue to do that as well, so that you guys enjoy it. So yeah. What's the drivers on boards and the McLaren is the best yesterday? Interesting. Yeah, I think I actually haven't seen too many on boards. I didn't watch the highlights yesterday. I need to watch some more. But yeah, the McLaren. I mean, you've got to remember this is different from last week. That they're bringing updates. They're trying out different things. I mean, Ferrari this week definitely look a lot better than last. I mean, you can kind of tell Lewis sounds very positive as well. That's always a good sign if you're a Ferrari fan and a Lewis fan. He will very much let you know if he's not happy with the car or not. He doesn't directly say it, but his body language and his demeanour and his tone of voice and how responsive he is in answering questions definitely gives an insight into how he is in the paddock. And he's yesterday, he seemed to be very, very forthcoming. Very kind of upbeat, smiling, so that's a positive. And I still think Leclerc, and I kind of got not attacked, but I got criticised for it with a couple of comments after the last podcast that we did on the Missed Apex podcast, which I will be live this evening. I'll be hosting the Missed Apex podcast tonight, by the way. We'll be discussing things that have gone on in the commission and so forth. But what in a commission meeting, but I said that Charles Leclerc, that car looks a lot better in Charles Leclerc's hands last week than it did Lewis's, and I got criticised for it. But that was just my observation. My observation was that I saw the car slide a lot more in Lewis's hands than I did in Charles's, and Charles had set a faster lap time than Lewis last week as well. And I know Lewis's race sim looked very good and people were impressed with it, but that was just an observation of mine. And this week, And Charles has seemed very upbeat throughout that the car, he's been comfortable with the car in no matter what kind of spec it's in. And this week, it seems that Charles is still on top of things, and Lewis has been able to get much more on top of it, and the car is more to his liking this week with its current configuration. Although we haven't seen it since we've gone live this morning, still not really sure of what has gone wrong with Lewis Hamilton. There was an engine issue. Yes, there was a gearbox or engine issue yesterday which limited his running in the afternoon, so it seems maybe it's the case again this morning. The first gremlins of the Ferrari power unit. But if you're a Ferrari fan, I still think there's lots of positives to be taken into this season. I think that hype gauge, or the hope gauge, is starting to fill up. I think from what I've seen, the Red Bull in Max's hands, it has the best balance. I think Max is on top of this car straight away. Scolapinto's on a fresh set of mediums and is pushing that car, that Alpine, 30.1 for him. I think the McLaren still has... I still think if I was going to give a pecking order, probably Mercedes because of the power unit. I think Red Bull and McLaren there. Maybe McLaren and Red Bull are similar because McLaren have the Mercedes engine. But I think the McLaren maybe looks just a little bit more of a handful. And then you've got Ferrari. I still think it's a bit of an unknown. Do I think it's fair to put Ferrari fourth? Maybe just because of my low expectations of Ferrari. And I don't want to overhype them, but I'm putting them fourth. As I said, I think I'm very happy with how the top four are right now. I think unless Mercedes have an additional 50 horsepower available to them through this compression trick that they're going to be able to use until August, till after round 13. So 13 rounds this year. And the same is the case for McLaren as well, because they've got that Mercedes power unit. Unless there is a trick there, and they're massively sandbagging, and they're hiding so much performance. We all know that the teams are hiding performance. Will they? Yeah. I'm hoping that really we're heading into the start of this season with all four teams kind of like not separated by that much when it comes to performance. Are we going to see any push laps today? I don't think so. No, I don't think anyone's going to show their full hand until... no one's going to show their full hand until Melbourne. We may see one team. What we may see, if we're going to see a push lap, we're going to see a push lap last knock-ins tomorrow. Because no one wants to show their full hand. And Max kind of gave an insight yesterday because he's still complaining that qualifying's not going to be at 100% and that they're going to have to lift and coast and all this sort of stuff to recharge the battery. I did wonder, I think that's an insight into the fact of it, or how does he know that? Well, that must mean that basically they haven't still yet seen anyone out on the grid. Because he was saying we have to, we will have to. It's not, oh, we do have to charge or whatever. So his terminology there, the way he phrased it, indicates to me that no one out on the grid has yet done a proper qualifying lap, a proper push lap. So they're all hiding a bit back still. We're seeing glimpses of it maybe in certain sectors and certain corners, but yeah. We have seen the Ferrari rear wing. We have indeed, yeah. Very much so. Very, what's the right word? Not intuitive. Is it intuitive? No, not intuitive. Very forward thinking. Very forward thinking. If you put them in fourth, they surely can't disappoint us, Jarvis. Exactly. Exactly. The key to a happy life, guys, is low expectations. Right? Low expectations. And then everything that happens in life is a pleasant surprise. The only way is up. Alan, anyone out there that remembers the voice of F1 back in the day was Murray Walker. Scott reminds me of him when he goes high pitched when he's commentating on a race. Love it. Oh, I appreciate it. I'm not at the level of Murray Walker. No. But yeah, I think the passion. I think what I do well is the passion comes through, just like Murray did. I am old enough to remember Murray Walker, guys. I know I don't look it. But Murray Walker, yeah, the GOAT of F1, the voice of F1. His commentary was second to none. Crofty's good. Alex Jakes is good as well. But personally, commentary-wise, after Murray, I really like James Allen. Remember James Allen when he was commentating on ITV with Martin Brundle? His commentary was brilliant. And I'm surprised he moved away from commentary, to be honest with you, because I thought he was really good. And he's still around in the F1 scene. He does stuff for like kind of runs like his own F1 agency, I think it is, and he still does interviews. He's still a journalist and that, but he has different things going on behind the scenes when it comes to F1, rather than being at the forefront on TV anymore. Melbourne Q3, yeah, that's when we're going to see them properly push. Max still on the C3. Max is on the C3 now, so is he on a push? No, he's not on the push lap. But he might have gone for a push lap. Lando is supposedly on the C4, by the way. So it's not showing what tyre he's on, but he is on the C4. So he's doing some long runs. We'll have a look at some lap times in a minute in relation to runs. I'm going to see if I can find any information on Lewis Hamilton, because he is not looking like he's coming out of the garage anytime soon. Lots of talk about the spinning rear wing, but very, very cool concept, the rear wing flipping as it does. There you go. Here's the... If you're wondering what we're talking about with the Ferrari's rear wing, here is a kind of GIF of it, I guess. Hang on. Poor quality, but you'll see it flip. Ready? Whoop! Little flip. See that? Aha, here we go. News on Ferrari. Apparently, Hamilton's absence on the track might be linked to the power unit, so no confirmation. They've got all the they've got the hoarding up basically, so you can't see into the garage. Would have completed this long cycle between Barcelona and Bahrain, where Ferrari is reportedly replacing the engine. For now, everything is silent. There's no official confirmations on the Ferrari right now. Oh, 15 minutes ago. Update. It's not about negotiations to the power unit, but about issues with the rear half shaft, which was disassembled along with the gearbox. So yeah, big operation going on with the car engine and gearbox, basically, by the looks of it. You wonder if any car will do a 129 lap? No, David. And no one wants to hide. Everyone wants to hide their performance. I don't think the cars are at the pace of a 129, to be honest with you. These cars are considerably slower than last year's cars, which I personally don't have an issue with. I don't care if an F1 car is slower than last year. It's not a bad thing, because it means they're going to displace less air as well. And look, I think a 131 is probably possible. I think there's at least 2 seconds I think there's at least 2 seconds possible in these cars. Low fuel, quali mode, that is. But we're not going to see that. I'll be very surprised if we see it. We may see it come the end of the week, but we'll see. Someone may stick on the afterburners in like the last 10 minutes on Friday and just go, see, let's scare you all. Let's scare you all. Just leave them with a parting gift as they head into Melbourne. Mercedes turn the engine up and go, bosh. There's their 18-to-1 compression ratio for you. Childish, I know, but I know can't be the only one that said ka-chow when that Ferrari wing flipped up. We won't really know where people are until Q1 in Melbourne, no. I think we'll see it in practice. I think you'll get a good idea of the pecking order in practice, Stephen. That's when people will start to kind of show their hand. So, no stands out yet. What do you mean by stands, Alan? You you'd put money on Russell doing a flying lap tomorrow. Yeah, he'd want to lay down. He so badly wants to lay down that marker. Have you seen? This is a good indication that Mercedes are quick. Have you seen the clips of the drivers getting their photo done, like the team, like the driver lineup photo, the promotional shots? Have you seen those online? How chipper is George Russell? He is so chipper. He knows. He knows he's got a good car underneath him and he's got a good year ahead of him. Oh boy. Does any team stand out to me yet? There's a few. I quickly need a lube break, so I will be a couple of minutes. And then borderline smug, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out for him. But he's definitely in a good place, George Russell, that's for sure. I'll go a quick lube break, guys. Suggest you guys do the same. Top up your brews, top up your teas or coffees or whatever, or your beer, wherever you are. Crack yourself up a new one. I know it's not. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? And we'll be back in a mo and hopefully maybe we'll get more information on Lewis Hamilton. But the latest is Lewis Hamilton is having that Ferrari. There are some gremlins in that power unit and they are changing it over and they're getting into the depths of that Ferrari power unit right now. So that's why we haven't seen Lewis out on track at all today. I haven't. He did 5 laps this morning, but that was before I went live in the first hour. So yeah, 1 hour 44 still left to go. A few drivers out on track. Norris fastest, Verstappen second fastest. But Verstappen's lap time was set on a harder compounder tyre, which is interesting. So yeah, no one's still showing their full hand. George Russell's going to put in a faster lap come the end of this session, no doubt. He's done that without fail every single session thus far in Bahrain. I think he's always had a decent push lap. So he will want to be in that top 2 come the end of this morning session. So yeah, back in a sec, guys. Ooh. Ooh. 5:15 in Perth. Exactly. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, eh? Oh, but welcome everyone. Hope you're good. Hope you are good. Can I do a setup tour? I can't do one right now because my camera is fixed into where it is. But yeah, I think I've posted pictures before. But I basically have a 49-inch monitor. So I'm on a sim rig. Steering wheel. Pedals down there. Not that I get to use this much anymore because I don't get the time. But yeah, I've got a 49-inch monitor. Basically curved one, Samsung G9. Highly recommend it. Brilliant monitor. Great for productivity as well. And then I've got another monitor above me, which is my old gaming monitor, which is an Asus. Can't remember the name of it, but it's a 1440p monitor. It's 40. How many? No, it's. I can't remember what size. 27-inch monitor. Sorry, 27-inch, and that is above me, and that's what I use for like other stuff. So when I'm looking up, that's obviously what I'm doing. So I've got like Twitter active up here. I've got my YouTube studio active up here. And I do things kind of off screen. And then of course I've got like, because it's a wide monitor, you can see like just in the corner, like I've got this here. I mean, you can kind of like, if I just quickly change, sorry. So what I can do is with the display capture, I've got this. Where is it? Have I got that? Where's that block bit? Oh, I can't see. I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. Don't worry about it. But when you're like in that angle, I've got kind of things cut off. You can see like everything, but yeah. But it's great for sim racing. I got the 49-inch monitor for sim racing because I didn't want to have triples. I didn't have the space for triples. And yeah, love it. And I do gaming on this as well. Every now and then, when I get the opportunity. I play shooting, first-person shooter games, bit of Battlefield, some open world games and stuff. So yeah, it's nice. It's my little corner, basically. I don't think, and the rig as well is next level racing, and it's an aluminium profile rig, and I don't know what else you'd ever possibly need, to be honest with you. Like they should get some fancy mumbo jumbo, like an egg or a pod or something. There's nothing which you can get, actually, but that's thousands and thousands of pounds. You wouldn't want anything different, so. Do I think Bottas and Perez will get a podium this year? No. We spoke about Cadillac this yesterday. Still only done 7 laps. For some reason, not a single time lap for Valtteri Bottas yet. I'm surprised about that. Has he just done like 7 out laps then? They've had issues. He did have a lot of the aero sensors on his car earlier, I saw from an image. But yeah, no, the Cadillac's had a tough week. Look, they're brand new. They're a brand spanking new team. It's a tall order for them to start from complete scratch. Yes, they've got the Ferrari power unit in their car, but it's going to be difficult for them to score points, let alone a podium. So look, a positive year for them will be to not be a back marker and to score points and not finish last. I think that's a good year for them, and develop on this year and improve year on year out. That's what they should be. That's what they should be aiming for. So, did Aston Martin fix their problem for 4 seconds off the pace to 2 to 3? No, not really. I wouldn't have said they were 4 seconds off the pace last week. The only reason they said they were 4 seconds off the pace last week is just because they didn't do any performance laps. Like they were just trying to get the car working. And that's kind of been the case again here this week as well. They haven't done a lot of running. 24 laps for Fernando Alonso only this morning as well, with 1 hour 35 remaining. So, yeah, Aston Martin have a lot of work to do. Audi podium is possible. I disagree. I think Audi are going to struggle this year as well. I think little bit of an insight into my predictions, but I think Audi and Cadillac will be fighting it out for last place. I don't think Audi are in a good place at all. I think they're really struggling with their engine. Bortoletto's only done 8 laps this morning, by the way, as well. You made your own rig, Rabbit. Heated Keva's seat from a Crash 911 Turbo, built the frame yourself, had triples, sold it all in January. Ah, nice project though. Yeah, I'll never get... sim racing is something that I do want to get back into. It's purely a time thing for me, of course. People warned me when I had a little girl, when I had my daughter, they were like, yeah, you're not going to get the time again. Like, I remember doing live streams and people were like, oh, I haven't touched my sim rig in ages because I've had my first baby. And I was like, oh, I'll be different. I'll be different. Oh, no, I'm not. But to be fair, it has also coincided with the channel heading in a different direction as well. I was sim racing and F1. Well, I started the channel off as sim racing, then it developed into doing sim racing and F1, and now it's more F1 focused. And then, of course, with having the little girl, having little one, my time in the evenings is more precious and spent with her, even weekends as well. It's like I don't feel like I have, even though I do have the time, I don't feel like I have the time to jump on and do like a race, like a 30-minute race, a 40-minute race, even like a 20-minute race. And anyone who's had kids will know it's... everyone will know, if you've had kids, it can be draining. Just mentally. Not even physically, just mentally it can be draining. Those who haven't got kids, if you're too young, if you have kids in the future, you'll remember this comment. And those of you without kids, of course, yeah, you may not experience it, but yeah, it's mentally draining. So it's priorities, exactly. And then it's also coincided with me taking a step up in responsibility with my day job as well. So I'm a lot more tired and when it comes to getting home and the day job, and I don't want to hop on and do practice and sim race. So yeah, just at the moment it's a time thing, that's all. But I'll get back into it. I will get back into it. I'll still always have this gear. This equipment's really good. It's VRS equipment. The rig is really good, and I do enjoy it. And it's like one of those things. It's like golf. When I do a race and I get back into it, and I'm like, I miss this so much, and then I don't do as much as I obviously would like. Sim racing reviewers, yeah, maybe one day. I was thinking about it the other day actually, like, because I don't have the time to set up like a different channel and stuff and do sim racing on a different channel, because that's probably what I would do if I started focusing on sim racing content again. I'd probably just go live on Twitch, probably just do something like that. Keep it separated, because yeah, the algorithm and the YouTube algorithm and stuff is a bit iffy when it comes to like mixing content and so forth. I know obviously it's all like motorsport fans and things, but yeah, you can kind of get punished for it if you mix different kind of pieces of content. So yeah, let's try and keep everything F1 focused now, but passionate about it and keeps me going. That's what matters. So Valtteri Bottas doing not plenty of laps. He's doing more laps now. So Raja, you just joined. Why all of them in the pit? Can you please tell me once? No, that's okay. No worries. Few drivers have had issues this morning. Liam Lawson hasn't been out there at all, really. 8 laps only for him this morning. Bortoletto similarly got some issues. He is only done 8 laps. Hamilton definitely has an issue. Only 5 laps for him. He has apparently the engine is currently apart, and they're investigating an issue and trying to rectify that, which has meant that Lewis has only done 5 laps this morning. We haven't even seen him out on track because of the time that we went live. So he did that in the first opening minutes of the session. Alonso, he's done 24 laps only. Not really much to write home about him back in the garage. Colapinto has been out there sporadically. 35 laps for him. Behrman continuing to do laps. 37 currently. The Haas continuing to rack up a whole host of laps. Albon, 49, solid from him, and George Russell as well. They've only just come back into the pit lane. Sorry, Albon's just... Albon's out there at the moment, sorry. George Russell's only just come back into the pit lane, sorry. Verstappen, similarly as well. He did a long run. We'll have a look at their lap times in a second. He set a lap time, but he's only just shy of Lando Norris's. Just over a 10th back, but on the C4, which is a step... C3, which is a step harder than the time that Lando Norris set, which is a 33.4 on the C3. So yeah, they're back in the pits. 40 laps respectively from them. Good host of laps for the Mercedes engine-powered duo of George Russell and Lando Norris, and Max Verstappen out there all day today. Let's have a look at the lap time series, shall we? And we can see laps that have been conducted today. So let's have a look. So heading down here, so we can see that Lando Norris's 33.4 was done on lap 13. He did do a 30. Where else is he? He did 33.9 a few laps later than that as well. Not really much to be taken into that. Max did his fastest lap prior to Lando's. Hamilton's car has an engine issue at the moment. They're currently trying to fix it, and they've been fixing it, looking into it all morning. So later on, so a few laps here, a few consistent laps here for Max. 39.6, 39.5, 39.2, 39.1. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's not very quick. You can see George Russell here, 37.1, 37.3, 37, low 37s. So they're still hiding performance, Red Bull, and I still don't think they've actually done any full race simulation yet. I think they are still hiding their overall race pace. They didn't do one last week, and I don't think they're still willing to show their full hand yet with the race pace. So interesting. Why was Lewis Hamilton's car? Well, technically it's his and Charles Leclerc's car. So we'll see. No need to... Don't spam the chat, please. I only need to say it once. First Ferrari engine issue. They had a brief one yesterday, which caused Lewis to lose laps. But this is the first major one, yeah, that's caused them to lose a lot of time in a session, for sure. So looking at these times, so you can see here kind of a race simulation for Albon, 141s, 142s, then into the 43s. Comes into the pit, puts on a new set of tyres, newish set of tyres, 41. Starts in the 41s, and then they start to bleed. The time starts to bleed off. So, but he's probably got a load of fuel. Engine may be turned down, you don't know. But yeah, not really too much to take from this morning, to be honest with you. No one's really done properly any race simulation. I mean, you can see here, so Behrman's probably on a race sim now. He's on a long run right now, and in the middle of one, yeah. So you can see he's on a race. He's on a race simulation now, I think. So a couple of slow pit stops. So that was the T tyre. So if we go back up here, so comes out of pits 139.3, 139.4, 139.7, 139.7, 39.5, 39.5, 39.4. Very consistent from Ollie Behrman, but that's like similar-ish lap times to what he's also. I'm trying to see what tyre he's on at the moment. Don't know what tyre he's on at the moment, but you can see that compared to Max Verstappen's times here, 39.5, 39.1, like the Red Bull can go so much quicker, you'd presume, than the Haas. So Max and Red Bull not showing their full hand yet when it comes to the race pace of that Red Bull, and maybe that's something that they're going to continue to hide for the remainder of this week, because they're still yet to do one. That's kind of like, I say, the last unknown. That's kind of like, we still don't know the quali runs, the true performance of these cars. We haven't seen them. We haven't seen these drivers or the cars pace over a single lap properly yet. We've seen obviously some quickish laps, but these cars can definitely go quicker than what we currently have seen. And Max and Red Bull definitely haven't done a race simulation. Hadjar definitely didn't get to do one yesterday, that's for sure, because of the issue that they had in the morning with the water leak in the engine. So yeah, we'll see. T tyre is a testing tyre. It's a tyre that we don't know the level of compound that it is. It's a tyre that Pirelli are testing out basically for this season. Max has been consistently 1 second to a tenth off of a second slower than Lando, almost like it's a show. Yeah, maybe. They're all playing games, aren't they? Oh, the team ambassador for Aston Martin is Pedro de la Rosa. Oh, I didn't realize Pedro de la Rosa was team ambassador. He is in the commentary box. I imagine he's going to give us a lot of insights. Or is he going to be there to speak PR? But Jenson Button's also the team ambassador, isn't he? Of Aston Martin now as well. Moved from Williams to Aston Martin. PR, of course it's going to be PR. They're not going to give any insight, are they? Let's see if we can get an update on Lewis Hamilton. So I did have a look. I'm watching, because I do have Sky TV off camera that I am listening to and watching. And there is no insight yet on the when his car will be back out. We do have an hour and 24 minutes left of this morning session of day 2. So apparently, Ruth Buscombe, of course, from F1 TV, former Aston Martin technician. I think she was a technician, wasn't she? Very knowledgeable woman. She said, on the new Ferrari wing, if you've not seen it, it flips, doesn't it? She said, the general conclusion is that more than one team, and she says they could just be saying this, but she says the general conclusion is that more than one team have said they've looked at the Ferrari's rear wing and they discounted it because what you gain on braking, you lose a bit on acceleration. We'll see. But it could be essential. It could be essential when it comes to the overall battery deployment or battery management. So, yeah. Interesting. Not much else on Ferrari yet. They're not getting an opportunity to test that rear wing a lot either. As Alex Albon locking up into turn 8 there, forgetting how wide his F1 Williams car is as he went over the curb and then off track. If it works, they will copy it or try to ban it. Yeah, exactly. Always the way. Here's a still image of the... So you can see here, here's a still image of that. That's not supposed to be that way because that's it in the middle of flipping over. So the rear wing is flipping over at the moment. That's the concept, is when it closes, it goes over itself. So that's why you can see the HP stuff there, because it should be forward. Interesting concept, though. Is an interesting concept. Hey Els, late to the action. Sad to see only 5 cars out. Stupid you looked to see if it was wet before remembering. It's not in the UK. I know. Is it wet outside here now? Is it raining? To be fair, every time I just expect it to be raining in the UK at the moment. We've had such a wet start to the year. It's been so depressing. Especially with the early nights as well. It is now getting lighter later. So, yeah, the clocks will change, won't they, in... Is it last weekend in March or is it first weekend in March? I can't remember which one it is, but yeah. As the teams are only allowed a certain number of race parts, do you know if this is the case too for the car's battery? It will be, I think. So let's have a look, shall we? I need to brush up on this. Let's have a look. So they're normally FIA, engine, gearbox, battery allowance. Battery allowance. So 2026, the battery allowances will change to 3 ICEs. That is the internal combustion engine. 3 of them. 2. Hang on. Surely that's not right. That can't be right. Hang on. Surely that's been altered. Hang on. That can't be right. Allocation. Engine issue for Ferrari at the moment. Engine issue. No, sorry. So, free. So, free combustion units. So, free ICEs. Free turbochargers. Free exhaust systems. Only two batteries. Only 2 batteries for the year. What? Wow. Only 2 batteries. That is wild. Only 2 batteries. Damn. Yeah, that's crazy. I thought it'd be more than that. I thought it'd be more. So yeah, if you use more than that, then you end up with a 10-place grid penalty. What's up with the Ferrari engine issue? They are trying to fix the engines. We don't know the reason for it, but there is a gremlin in the back of that Ferrari power unit that they're trying to rectify right now. It may be similar. Lewis may be. They may do what. They may do what was similar as to what Red Bull did yesterday, where they may put Lewis Hamilton in the car for the rest of the day, rather than have Charles in the car, and have Charles in the car all day tomorrow. But we'll see. But yeah, only 5 laps with Lewis Hamilton today. We have Lando Norris out there, fastest man today. He's back out there on a set of hards, so we'll keep an eye out on his lap times, as he is no doubt probably on a long run here. Is this foreshadowing something? No, I don't think so. It's the first gremlin that they've had. So I'm sure they'll be able to get into it. I'm sure they've probably been able to locate what the issue is, but in relation to getting to it and replacing it may take a lot of time and effort. I mean, if there is anything to do with the engine, it's not a simple probably changeover, you know. Plus, they may actually have to change the whole engine over. You don't know. It may be a case of, okay, that we're best off just removing the engine altogether, and like then fixing that one and putting a brand new one in, or just changing it over. And that's not a simple operation. So what was interesting with Lando's fastest lap, by the way, today, is that Sector 1 and Sector 2 was not his fastest sectors of the day. So Sector 2 was a purple lap, but the Sector 1 and Sector 3 were both yellow sectors. So that's interesting. So definitely a lot of time to be improved on there for Lando. Is Colapinto having problems? I don't know what's happening with problems. I think he's having a transponder issue. He's not stopped out on track. We always have this We always have this at Bahrain. There's transponder issues. So you can see he's there, can't you? But he hasn't done any push laps. So I don't know what their aim is, what program they're running. But yeah, clearly and evidently, Colapinto's having issues with the transponder. That's why he keeps dropping in and out at the moment. So. Hi Eddie, good to see you, mate. Long time, I know, long time. Not long till the season starts, though. First weekend in March. Countdown is on. Countdown is on. So we have 2 weeks from tomorrow is when we'll have the first official practice session of the season. I'll be live for every single session. Yes, even for Australia, where it will be silly o'clock in the morning for me in the UK. Let me just remind myself at what time the race starts in the UK. I think it's 4 a.m. Something like that. So I will not be getting a lot of sleep that weekend. That's for sure. I'll have to try and make up what I can during the day. But I will be doing, of course, my preview and my predictions for the race. I'll be doing my overall season predictions this weekend as well for you all. But yeah, full steam ahead to the start of the season. We're still yet to get confirmation of whether the race start procedure is going to change. They are testing a new race start procedure this week, and they tested it last night. So they're going to test it for every single session remaining of this week. So at the end, so 4 more times, and there is no change to the power unit compression ratio that Mercedes power units currently have. That is going to be voted on next week for a new testing procedure to be tested at 130 degrees Celsius, which is at supposed operating temperatures, and that will be only implemented and brought in, that new testing procedure, in the summer break in August after round 13. So in effect, Mercedes have 13 rounds to figure out a way to pass this test, either by, I don't know, the various reasons, or by legitimate reasons of changing their engine to accommodate it, and they will benefit from potentially a more powerful power unit for 13 races. So we'll see how controversial that becomes. But yeah, no changes to the regs as of yet. They're going to wait and see what happens and gather more data in the first few races of the season before making an informed decision on what, if anything, needs to change in the regs. So no worries, Eddie. Yeah, that's what this is. It's just a there's not obviously there's things to look out on screen, but it's an opportunity for us to chat and look forward to the season ahead. So, and discuss things that happen out on testing. There have been no real big moments if they're in testing. The reliability, for the most part, has been pretty good. We always expected some gremlins to show up in the engines. You want to stress test them, of course. Sometimes you want to force the engine into an issue, so that you know the limit at which it could be run at. But yeah, we haven't seen any big moments. The biggest moment we saw was Lance Stroll going into the gravel yesterday, going into that big spin due to the gearbox and power cutting out or something. So Russell showing stop. Yeah, he's just doing a slow lap. He's just doing a slow out lap. Or I think he did a practice start just then. He's letting Colapinto go through. How much slower will the cars be in this year, Guy in Telford? I think they're at least a couple of seconds slower on I say a couple of seconds slower. Yeah, I think on average they're probably 2 seconds a lap slower, which isn't a bad thing. Like the ground effect era cars that we saw last year were the fastest cars in F1 history. So if they're a couple of seconds slower, that's still quick. Like that's still on the pace of like the 2020 car, whatever it is, 2019, 2018. So yeah, they're still quick cars. Hot take, Eddie. Mercedes will lose out in the second half of the season after a good start. Maybe. Yeah, potentially. Same as maybe McLaren, if the power unit. Williams as well, Alpine. What do I think? Merc first, Ferrari second, Red Bull third, Merc fourth, Aston Martin fifth, Williams sixth, Haas seventh. Haas sixth, Racing Bull seventh, Alpine eighth, Audi ninth, and 10th Cadillac. You've missed a team. Oh no, sorry, you've put it afterwards. Sorry. Merc first, Ferrari second, Red Bull third, McLaren fourth, I presume. Aston Martin fifth, Williams sixth, Haas seventh, Racing Bulls eighth, Alpine ninth, Audi 10th, and Cadillac 11th. Ooh, I think you got Alpine a bit low there, to be honest. But we'll see. Williams hyped so much, putting a lot of their 25 resources into this year car. What has happened? To be honest, for Williams, it's been a good test. Last week and this week has been good for them. They haven't exactly... I don't think anyone, even James Vowles, I don't think anyone expected them to like make their way into the top four and be competing with them. I think that's still too soon. But it's definitely an improvement for them. And considering they missed a shakedown as well, they've got plenty of mileage in, and we'll see. And I don't know, maybe they're a dark horse. Maybe they are. But I still think they don't have. They've improved their resources. They've improved their facilities. But I still think there's a way to go for Williams before they get back to the top again. Just because they're on that journey. And it's a long journey. It's not something that even with these new regs, I think is going to be able to be sorted out for them to launch them back up to the top again so soon. Curious, why didn't a yellow sector come up if Russell stopped, however, briefly? I don't think because it wasn't like... I think they knew he was still moving and he was okay. I think it was purely because he was letting Colapinto past. So... Sorry, McLaren fourth. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to give you guys I'm going to save the rest of my predictions for this weekend. Some of you have had a sneak peek into my predictions. So just watching Lando, a replay of him. What happened here? Was it another lock up into turn 10, which we've seen so often? Probably. Little lock up for Lando. Went deep into turn 10. Ran over the exit curb. Went very wide. Tricky cars under braking, aren't they? They are very tricky. Less downforce, of course. The braking ability of these cars is not the same level as what they had previously, so from their predecessors. Ferrari's morning is concerning, Connor. It is indeed. Yeah. Proper gremlin in the back of that Ferrari. We don't know. There's an operation, a big operation happening in the back of that garage right now. The reports are that they... So the reports are that they've got there's a problem on the rear left, I think it is, and they've had to really get into it. So, this is what you guys, what we saw yesterday in relation to kind of driving. So this is what we saw. So this is turn that off. So we saw this. Some of you mentioned this earlier. So of course, there's different ways to generate energy and stuff like that. The braking earlier, the lift and coast, and so forth. But this is them heading down into turn 1. It's an overlap of the cars, and you can see the later braking there from Lewis. But then it doesn't necessarily pay off well for him, because then you can see how obviously the energy deployment comes back. But the Red Bull of Max there gets a much better acceleration out of the corner. But you can see that Lewis is definitely a lot later on the brakes right now, but maybe being a bit of a detriment to him. You can see the extra acceleration that Kimi Antonelli has there. Lots of chopping and changing here from the top 4 on this particular lap. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because when it comes to actual racing, I mean, you can see here how there's a difference in approach. I mean, Jesus! Look at the speed that the Mercedes just got off the line there. I will say, however, of course, this is just based upon a particular lap that they've done. It's probably on the fastest lap that they did. Mercedes have definitely pushed their car more than what Ferrari have, and Red Bull and McLaren, that's for sure. They very much so. I mean, Ferrari didn't push their car performance-wise at all yesterday. You can tell that by the top speeds that they managed, particularly in Sector 1. So driving style-wise, that's definitely a positive for Lewis, because he is a late breaker. He likes that. Yeah, and the thing is that when it comes to racing, that could be a benefit of him, because they've still got to make overtakes happen. So while obviously Antonelli has that drive, like we still yet, and I will do a full video breakdown on it, we are still yet to get confirmation of the racing guidelines. That pesky all-important document that we referred to quite a lot last year is going to be getting an update supposedly for this year, and we are still yet to get confirmation and sight of that. They made it transparent to us last year. Hopefully we get access to that again this year, because yeah, if it's still ahead of this Apex rule, which I think it probably will be in some capacity, being late on the brakes, forcing another car out wide, or forcing them to back out of a corner, is going to benefit you. It doesn't matter if you have that boost that we saw from Mercedes there. But that is obviously, Mercedes have pushed their car a lot more, or at least they've utilised their battery usage more, battery deployment more when it comes to laps, push laps. That's for sure. They're very confident and people have said the reason why they're a favourite is because their kind of run plans are a little bit further ahead in relation to other teams. But Ferrari we haven't seen the true pace of that Ferrari yet, and the Red Bull as well. We also haven't seen the true pace of that Red Bull, or any of them, but still. What are my views on Ferrari this year, and who do I think is going to make it? And who do you think who's going to make this year? So I think there's a lot of positives to be taken from Ferrari this heading into this season. I can't remember the last time Ferrari looked this comfortable in a test. They definitely look like they're close to the pace of Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull. They all look pretty good, all four of them, as I said, unless they're hiding a ton of performance. And they've got extra horsepower available to them that we don't know about with that compression ratio trick. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be positive about. The Ferrari need to start. I can't remember the last time, maybe 2022 was the last time Ferrari actually got off to a good start, if you remember, where Charles Leclerc was in that championship battle with Verstappen for a while until they started to fall off of a cliff with their bad pit stops and strategies and so forth. And Red Bull just were able to drive away into the distance when it came to that championship. But it's been a long time since they've had a car which they've started off a regulation set with a good platform, and that's what Ferrari needs. Ferrari has never really been a team that starts, if they start on the back foot, they're able to bridge that gap and dominate come the end of a regulation set. It's always been they need to be good from the start, from the outset. And I think they've got a good platform to build upon with that. So, what effect, other than the race start performance-wise, do the smaller Ferrari turbos have? That's a good question. So it should help them with better. It should technically help them with better acceleration, I guess, because they'll be able to spool up the turbo quicker. However, when it comes to like the high-speed circuits with longer straights, the capacity of that turbo is going to be shorter. So yeah, that's what I think. So there we go. Connor, better boost efficiency of corner exits with smaller turbo, possibly able to use less energy to save for later on straights, but overall less boost from a smaller turbo. There you go. Yeah. So it's a conscious decision that they've made to hopefully to try and help them off of race starts, and also to help them, yes, with the overall battery management. But there's a lot of circuits on the calendar. There comes a point as well where you probably have to, when you're designing a car, I presume, that you have to look at the calendar in front of you, 24 races, and make conscious decisions of going, okay, well, what do we want to prioritise? This will benefit, as I said, that you don't get anything for free in F1. There's always a trade-off, and it's impossible really to make a car that is going to be strong at every single race circuit. Because there's so many different types of them. There's so many different street circuits, length. Obviously, some require that top speed efficiency more so than cornering ability and stuff. And that's what we saw more so than ever last year, where the Red Bull was very good at the low downforce circuits where top speed was required, low grip circuits as well. That's where Max dominated over the McLarens, and the McLarens' advantage and strength over the rest of the field was their cornering ability. They banked on basically locking out the front row and just driving off into the distance, and that's why they struggled when it came, and their tyre management was also very good as well, and that's why they did very well at high downforce circuits and high speed corner circuits and medium speed as well. And then when it came to but if they, like Lando found himself at the start of the season, if he found himself in 6th or 5th, he struggled to make any overtakes because they just didn't have the top speed. Whereas like Max did in that Red Bull, and of course with the effectiveness of dirty air as well, it also made it very difficult with the tyres and so forth to be able to have enough of a delta to overtake the car ahead. So yeah, very interesting year last year, and then this year we don't know how that's going to be effective, but there's no doubt there's going to be some cars that are strong at the street circuits, some that are strong at the high speed circuits, like where top speed, like straight line speed is essential, like the typical circuits like Monza, Spa, etc. But with this whole active aero stuff now, it's going to be interesting to see that the setup of the car isn't going to be as influential now as it has been in the past, where you set up your car particularly for low downforce because you've got the active aero, you can have this straight line mode, and it's going to be more so yeah, more emphasis on the turbo, the battery and capacity and so forth. So yeah, interesting how it's interesting how the game has changed in essence. Setups will still play a factor, of course, and I'm intrigued to see how that develops throughout the year. But it does seem like that really setup work hasn't been a primary focus for the teams here this week. It's been all about the battery deployment and the battery recovery, because that is where the time can really be made up and make a difference. Looks like the cars are getting hard tyre data at the moment. Yeah, they're probably doing some long runs, so we'll have a look at Lando in a second. I mean, he just did a 142 last time out, which isn't a great lap time for him. He's definitely on high fuel run at the moment, Lando, so he's currently on 10 laps on this tyre, and he did 39.6, 39.6, 39.4, 39.5, 39.8, and then he's just started to go into the 40s. He had made a mistake last time out. I think he just had a lock-up, which is why he had that 42. And he's just had a 43.4 there. So he's definitely going consciously slower this lap, or these last couple of laps. He's gone very slow into turn 1. So maybe issue for Lando? Or maybe they're just doing... Maybe he's just trying a couple of laps without the battery turned on at all or something. I don't know. Why Hamilton in the pits for so long? Engine issue. We don't know the cause. We don't know what's going on. But there's a big operation that's been going on since this morning, since before I was live, because he's only done 5 laps to fix that car. We don't know if Hamilton will be out in the afternoon. Don't know if Ferrari will be out in the afternoon. But yeah, it is supposed to be Charles this afternoon. Possibly better drivability too, with less jumps in power as turbo kicks in. Yeah, that's true, Connor, yeah. So there's all these elements that they're having to take consideration, and it's whether or not it's beneficial, isn't it? Whether that trade-off is worth it or not. Eddie, your man has been an F1 fan for not as long as I've been. The problem is I don't have much knowledge because I was 6 when you got into F1. If you got into F1 when you're 6, you should have... Depends how old you are, Eddie. But yeah, if you're my age, in your 30s, and you were a fan since you were 6, you should have loads of knowledge. That's fine. Feel free to ask any questions. It's all good. That's what we're here for. I'll try my best. I'm not an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to F1. I don't know everything. I have a very base knowledge, shall we say, a base level knowledge of the technical side and the mechanical side of F1. But that's what Google's for, and that's what you guys are for, who are a lot more well versed in it than me. And that's what we've built here as a great community, that we can help each other understand the sport. And yeah. So this means Ferrari cooked or getting cooked? No, they're not getting cooked. It's all good. Everyone has had a issue at some point or another with their engine. So some more serious than others, but it may be, as I said, we don't know. It may just be a slight issue that they've gone, you know what, let's just change the engine over altogether. And that's a pretty big operation. Or it is a serious issue and they are really trying to fix it. You just don't know. There's no concrete information coming out of the Ferrari garage at the moment because it's all hush-hush. They've got it all closed off and people just know that it's... all people know at the moment is just that it's an issue with the engine. So Max is putting his foot down. He is and he isn't. Yeah, he's on 9-lap-old medium, so no more push laps at the moment. We're in the last hour of this morning session. 55 minutes to go. I have seen the Ferrari's DRS rear wing rotation. Very innovative. I like it. I like that Ferrari are being forward-thinking. They had the exhausts diffuser yesterday, or if you called it diffuser, I don't know what it's being. Well, exhaust wing, I think people have called it, to try and create some extra points of downforce by utilising the hot air that is put out by the exhaust. So yeah, I like it. I like that they're thinking ahead, trying different things to try and gain an advantage. That's what you want for Ferrari. That's what you want for a team. Lawson's changed tyres 3 times in 10 laps. Probably want to get that pit stop practice in. It's the year of the horse. Is it the year? Oh, it is the year of the horse. Yeah, it is. Good omen, maybe. Good omen. Simon, if you're my age, you've forgotten more than you remember. Let's just say you remember Jim Clark. Woo. Eddie, you're a puny 8th grader. I'm in the technical side. My historical knowledge is peak. I memorise all World Driver Champion. Oh, nice one. 8th grader. What's 8th grader? I'm UK based, so I don't know what 8th grade is in the US. How old are you in 8th grade? Have you got long left of school? Have you got many years left in school? I mean, I don't know what grades it goes up to. 13 to 14 right now in India, as 9th is coming soon. Okay. 13 to 14. So in the UK, that's what, year 8? So you have, what, 3 more years? Yeah, 3 more years in school. In class 8th means just in junior. Okay. And then, although in the UK now, you have to go to higher education until you're 18. Whereas I know in different countries, the school system is, the education system's different. Like you're automatically in school till like you're 18 anyway, aren't you, or something? 3 years in school, then college. Fairs. Yeah, that's what we do. Higher education is college in the UK, basically, unless you get, unless you're able to secure an apprenticeship and you go out and like work. But even then, I think you have to do some form of assignment-based stuff or whatever. But, yeah. Interesting, very interesting. So, a bit more action out on track right now, guys. The only drivers not out on track are Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris. Good to see Valtteri Bottas is out there. 32 laps for the Cadillac now. They've taken a while to get out there. Worried that it was going to be another poor session for them, but Bottas is racking up the laps. Good to see after a very, very poor day yesterday for them. Still no push laps from Cadillac. It is just data gathering at the moment, some way off the pace. I think Valtteri Bottas's car, last time I saw him, he had a lot of aero sensors on that Cadillac, so they're definitely still trying to do some data analysis at the moment and data gathering. Verstappen is out there. He's on a bit of a longer run right now. He's currently doing 39.5, 39.2, 39.1, 39.4, 39.9. So still hiding some pace there. We have seen quicker Mercedes when they're doing their race pace. They're doing 37. So Mercedes are willing to show a bit more of their hand at the moment, whereas Verstappen and Norris, not so much. 1963 and 1965, gang. Who was the best, in my opinion? Or in your opinion? Clark did everything, didn't he? Wasn't F1 only like 8 races back then, though, in the 60s? Like, it wasn't a lot of races, was it? Definitely not 24 like it is now. Or 30 races. So if they want to add 6, that's 36 overall races that they want to introduce if they want to double the sprint race count for next year. For next year, supposedly, or moving forward. McLaren running Mercedes, indeed, they are, Chester, yeah. So, keeping it a bit quiet. I mean, Mercedes are definitely willing to start push. I mean, I'm waiting for Russell to come out and put a new set of boots on. We're in his last hour now. He's going to do a push lap at some point, surely. He doesn't want to see his time there. Oh, here we go. Right on cue. Maybe right on cue. He's just dived into the pit lane. Yeah, they used to do everything, didn't they? That's why Clark won. Not obviously he was a great driver, but that's why he won so much, because he basically just went and did everything. Did he do motorbike racing as well? Was it him who did motorbike racing, or was it Surtees who did motorbike racing? 30s, that's it, yeah. Did everything, didn't he? Yeah, so there we go, 30s, yeah. I actually have a program. My hold on, see if I can get it. Hang on. So my granddad used to be a racing driver back in the 60s. Not to the level of Clark and Surtees, but I've got like, this is just like an old steering wheel from his car. It was like a Ford Regio. That's like his old. It's like an old, just wooden steering wheel. But I've got. My mum gave me some memorabilia the other day, and in it was. Now you can't get these online, but this is something that my granddad had and has held onto. And it is the program of the first ever Grand Prix. Let me see if I can. Oh, don't know what's going on there. There we go. It's for £1, the first ever program of the first Grand Prix at Silverstone. 2nd of October 1948. So, oh, there we go. Let me see if I can get there. There's the layout. See that? The airfield. Silverstone, back in the day. £1, yes. I will get back to the coverage shortly. I can see. It's not. I looked it up, Darius, as well. I thought so, but it's not that much money. I think you can buy them online, like from eBay, for like 60 quid or something. There you go. The drivers in today's Grand Prix race. Oh, there you go. Look at those smooth-looking geezers. The headgear, the goggles, eh? So yeah, pretty cool. It's the adverts that crack me up. Like, the adverts used to be so much more stylish. Like, look at that. Look at that advert. How good's that? Bring back the old style adverts, eh? So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. So yeah. But yeah, £1. I mean, I don't know what that's in today's money. Anything else he's got here? I've got a wiring diagram for a Stag Triumph, which is one of his older cars. The service manual. Yeah. Pretty cool. Hey John, I'm doing very well, thank you. Doing very well. Yeah, he was wasn't like national level and stuff. He raced. Well, no, it was like national. It was like, I can't remember what he used to race. It was like Ford Regios and stuff. So it was like travelled around the country racing them basically. So Harry, from a 72-year-old, a shilling is worth 5 pence today, then 5 pence coin replaced the shilling. Oh, okay. Surely one page they only got like 3 wires. Who was the GOAT, in my opinion? So we've had this conversation before, and this is the case in many sports. I don't like to label any individual person as a GOAT of their sport because times have changed. The sport has changed. Many sports have changed, especially F1, where, of course, the drivers of today are completely, and the machinery that they have to handle is very different to very, very different sport and machinery than what they drove, obviously, back in the 50s and 60s and so forth, and even like 10, 15 years ago. So I like to think GOATs of their era. So like in F1, yes, you could say obviously Jim Clark. You have, of course, Sterling Moss as well. You have Senna, you have Schumacher, you have Hamilton, you have Verstappen. I think you have to look at GOATs of their era, and also, like, I'm a big golf fan. Jack Nicklaus, like, GOAT. Tiger Woods, GOAT. You could say the same for, like, obviously basketball as well. Football. Like, of course, people will always have recency bias, but sport has changed across the board with equipment and physicality and rules changes. And not even if you look at football now, right? Soccer. The brutality of the sport back in the 80s and 70s compared to now, like, which Ronaldo and Messi played in. Like, don't get me wrong, unbelievable players, but very, very well protected in relation to the rules and officiating compared to what the likes of Diego Maradona and Pele and, like, all those players had to play and contend with back in the 80s and 70s and stuff. Pitches were very different. Football, the ball itself was very different. So sports evolve just in relation to the physicality, the mechanics, the officiating, the rules, and so forth. And I think you just have to define people as like by GOATs of their era. And rightfully so, remember them for how good they were in those particular time. Just compare your granddad's steering wheel to electronic button-filled steering wheel today. Exactly. Well, I've got my sim rig now. So part of me is like, my granddad passed away when I was like very young. So I was, well, let's say very young, like 10, 11 or something. And had a very close relationship with him, and it does make me think like how, like, I get my love of the sport from him. He introduced it to me. He introduced me to golf as well. So I have a lot to owe to my granddad for, like, being an influence in my life and for the things that I enjoy. And there is a part of me obviously that wishes he was around now to be able to just see, like, one, what I'm doing, but also just like the sim rig and how, like, things have developed, because I know he would have absolutely loved it. Because he was very, like, techie and stuff like that as well. He loved all technology and things and gaming, and yeah, it would have been brilliant to show him that. So can't believe you're British and call it soccer. I accommodate my international viewers. You know. So we have a lot of people who tune in from the US. So, you know, football means a completely different thing over there. Are slot cars still popular in the UK? Don't think so. No. Why Lewis only done 5 laps? Engine issue. 40 minutes remaining. Engine issue. Your GOATs, McRae, Rossi, and Senna in it. GOAT always depends on your generation. Yeah, and I think you should do generational GOATs. That's what I mean. Define them by the era that they participated in. You know. Moss meh. His skill OP, but Fangio better. Maybe. Aren't you only 13 or 14, Eddie? How would you know? These half-stupid, half-engine PUs sound horrendous. It would seem Max and Lewis's comments are justified. Bring back the screaming V10s. I agree with the screaming V10s. Yeah, I'm not Look, I don't not like the sound. I just think it's like the sound I don't like is when they're sitting there revving the engines. That's where I'm like, it starts to grate on me a little bit. But yeah, overall, they sound exactly the same as last year. Maybe a little bit more raspy. So, was there smoke? No. He literally, I think, just went into the pits, and he's been in the pits ever since, and we haven't seen him since. So. Don't get me wrong, the racing was better in the 1960s, but watching it was painful at times with all the death. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at even going back to the late 80s or 90s, like when was the pit lane? It's crazy to think now. If any of you have seen the images of, I'll see if I can get it up. I'll see. It's no doubt going to be on YouTube or something. Hopefully, I won't get copyright strikes. Senna pit lane speed. Where's the one where he literally like just... Here we go. Like, this is before there was a spit. This was 1990, bearing in mind. No pit lane speed limit. Just like booting it down the pit lane. Crazy. Yeah, it was early 90s, wasn't it, where the pit lane speed limit was introduced. It's mad how it took so long, but yeah. In the 60s, races were sometimes won by minutes, not much close in. Yeah. For me, peak F1 racing was the racing that happened after Senna's death up to 2010 because it was safer but still had decent overtaking. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I have vivid memories of watching... I guess my interest in the sport didn't waver. I kept an eye on it, like, in the 2000s. Like, 2000 to 2006, I think it was, because I was, like, football mad, football and golf mad, so they were really the sports that I watched. I would only keep an eye on F1 if I was, like, around my grandparents' house and stuff. And then... I think it genuinely was when like Lewis Hamilton joined the sport, I got really back into it because I felt then it felt like there was kind of someone to root for, I guess. Obviously, there was a big hype. There was a lot of hype around Lewis Hamilton joining the sport as well. So I guess that kind of got me intrigued to watch it. I was a lot more, obviously, I was older then. Like, was it 2007? So I was 16. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I've got a bit more time now to... Like, I'm left school. Got a bit more time to, I guess, watch the sport and so forth. Pay a bit more attention to it. I'd given up football by that point as well, and golf was like my only sport that I was playing. Not that I like went go-karting and stuff, but I was like, oh, okay, I've got a bit more time to like focus on this sport now and get back into it. And that's when I started to really, really enjoy it more and will pay more attention to it, I guess. If you haven't watched the film Grand Prix 1966, do yourself a favour and check it out. Some consider the best motorsports film. I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen it, actually. I haven't seen it. Jack Nicklaus, definitely the GOAT of golf. He's one of them. I think him and Tiger Woods, definitely. Like, just two GOATs of their era. But played arguably two very different sports. Like, the clubs that they used, the length of the golf courses, the balls are very different. But both, like... have defined their eras, haven't they, in the sport? So, statistically speaking, Jack Nicklaus has more majors. Tiger has more PGA Tour wins, not as many majors. But yeah, both, for what they both did for the sport, yeah. You remember when things with rose-tinted glasses overtaking was an issue back then? Yeah, I think, look, everyone... There were a lot of races where it was boring. Of course it was. Last year, I mean, 2021 was a good year, I think. It's like at the end of the regulation set, we had good racing. It's a shame. There's ups and downs, isn't there? Ups and downs with the sport. Started watching in 1959, missed only the first 9 seasons thus far. Woo! Many years ahead, Harry. Many years ahead. Was Sevi a nearly go? I think Sevi's in the category just below them too. I never got to witness Sevi, but I think he definitely had a flair, and obviously gone too soon. But I don't think he was as good as Tiger and Jack. I think he's in that category just below. Obviously, he had a personality, he had a flair, which is why people remember him. Obviously, he won majors, and he was a very, very good golfer. But I don't think he's in that. He can't be considered in that category with Jack and Tiger. And similarly, there's no one right now currently playing who is at that category, in that category. Scotty Scheffler very well may. He needs to win. I mean, to be honest, I think the only ones who can get in the category of Jack and Tiger are those. You have to win 10 majors. You have to get double figures for majors, really. If you don't do that, you're not in. You can't be in the same category as them. But similarly, you could be a GOAT of your era, and Scheffler's on his way to do that. McIlroy as well. Maybe he'll win more majors. He's now got obviously his 5th one, didn't he? He won the Masters, got the Grand Slam. So, yeah. Palmer. I'm trying to think. How much did Palmer win? I think Palmer's just like. Yeah, he was. How old was Palmer? I mean, Jack Nicklaus is still alive, wasn't he? Yeah, Palmer's probably a GOAT. Because he dominated an era before Nicklaus, didn't he? And then Nicklaus came on the scene. It was Player. Him and Gary Player were at the same time. Tiger's peak was the most dominant streak of all time. Honestly, that year of 2000 to 2001, obscene. Absolutely obscene. Like, pure domination. But just so entertaining to watch as well at the same time. Like, I vividly remember it like as a kid, like just being like, oh my God. So, thank you, Shepard. Much appreciated. This year, Gokhan, you're not very positive, are you? This year, the races will be even more boring. If anything, it will be the battery saving like Formula E. I don't think it will be to that extent as Formula E. You've got to remember, Formula E is you've got 100% battery at the start, 100% capacity, and then it's dwindling down to 0. So you 100% have to make sure that you've got enough to finish the race. F1 isn't like that. It isn't going to be like that because you still have 50% reliance on the power units. But the ICE part, the internal combustion part. But yeah, look, there are concerns. I still think we're going to get good racing. I'm intrigued to see how it's going to play out. I'm still reserving. I am concerned, but I'm still holding back on my overall judgment about these regulations and whether they're a success or not until we actually see them in races, till we see them in action. It's very different just doing race simulations and practice runs and stuff like that until you've got another 21 cars around you as a racing driver and you're fighting for a win or a podium or points. And there's that pressure and that racing instinct kicks in. That's where I'm hoping things are going to still work out. So, what's my handicap? So I don't have a handicap anymore. I used to be a professional. I turned pro. I coached for a while. So my lowest handicap I actually ever got down to was 3. I then started to shoot scores that were under par consistently when I turned pro. But yeah, I never got to a level. I never got to a level to make it playing. I wanted to get into the coaching side. I wanted to be able to make a career out of something I enjoy and play as well. But I was never like successful playing or anything. I knew my ability. I was good, but I wasn't like great, which is what you need to be able to make it as a tour player. But yeah, then I kind of my working situation changed, and I decided to change my career in my mid-20s. Couldn't see myself earning the money that I wanted to, and yeah, decided to change my career path before it was too late. So, which is why I'm now in the career that I'm in, my day job, which is in construction as a quantity surveyor, and trying to change my career again by doing this full time. Content creation. So yeah. Your handicapping golf is pretty much, you know, my swing. Yeah, I play maybe once a year now. When something's been a part of your life for so long, you don't have that drive to do it as often. And my weekends as well, like my passion's changed. So my passion used to be golf, and now it's like F1, and obviously doing these on the weekends. I don't have the get up and go attitude to go and play 18 holes of golf. So I have said to the missus, I'm like, be glad that we met after my golf career, because you've never experienced me disappearing for a whole day to go and play 36 holes of golf. Do you remember a round with Alice? I don't remember that particularly, but obviously Peter Alice, yeah, he was the commentator. He was the voice of golf, wasn't he, really? Tracks like Monaco might be very interesting this year. Smaller cars and not too long straights. Yeah, the battery, we spoke about Monaco yesterday. With the battery deployments, that may give the boost necessary and acceleration necessary to actually allow cars to make a lunge at Monaco, which we've failed to see for many a year now. So, Gokhan, you see my peer view. I just feel like you don't save the battery well enough, then you're going to be sitting duck at tracks with long straights. That's the concern, and it is a valid concern, and I echo those thoughts as well. But I'm still intrigued to see how all of this works in a racing scenario. Until then, I'm going to just reserve my judgment somewhat. And that's what the FIA are also doing as well. They're not making any changes to the regulations until they've got more data to base a decision off of. And I think that's probably correct to do right now. There's no point making they listen to concerns, you gather more data, and then you make a necessary change if required. So yeah, we'll see. Keep net scam zero out of F1. We won't get into the politics of net zero, but yeah, I've spoken to sources, not in F1, but I've spoken to sources who are very close to the whole net zero thing. Yeah. The odd brilliant race, say Brazil, say Barcelona will be there, but the overall will be too much different from the just gone era. Saturdays are still more or less your track position. We'll see. As I said, it's not ideal. We should really have a 70-30 split, shouldn't we, really? We should have a 70-30 split. I think that's the best thing to have, probably. Have more reliance. We need more reliance on the combustion unit rather than the battery. I don't think the battery technology there, well, I don't think the battery technology is there for it to be a sufficient 50-50 split right now. It should be more of a supporting part of the power unit rather than an essential part right now. So, thanks, Harry. Much appreciated, mate. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. We all want more, of course we do, but you have to sometimes. I'm very fortunate that I've been able to get into a position to buy a flat with me and my missus, and yeah, we all want more. We all want, obviously, to have the best possible for ourselves. I'd love to have a nice 4-bed home and have as large a place as I possibly can. But yeah, it is. You have to be grateful for the situation you're in. Have that sit back and have that like awareness and perspective of it could always be worse. So Hamilton is in the pitch because of engine problems. Yeah, unfortunately. It's the first time we've seen a proper gremlin from the Ferrari. Let's see if we can get an update, right, on the Ferrari. Surely there's an update. A minor technical issue at Ferrari from what we understand. It's not a major problem, but again, reliability has been so high. Ferrari, they've been pushing the parts so hard since the start of these tests, even reusing them session after session. But at some point, it also allows them to see how well the parts hold up. To what extent and over what mileage they can maintain their performance and what point they reach a breaking point. So there didn't seem to be any particular panic at Ferrari this morning, even though they obviously always prefer to have a car on track. Oh, okay, so sounds like there isn't any worry at Ferrari. They have just been... Said that may be the case. They've been stress testing parts. So, I mean, it'd be a shame if Hamilton does miss out on a whole session. Maybe he will stay in the car for this afternoon. If not, we won't see him back till tomorrow. Nicholas was second in majors 19 times as well and was always right in the mix all the time. Also, lots of putts with a basic blade, 300-yard drives with a missing headed wood. Yeah, that's what I mean. Very, very, very good record, Jack Nicklaus. Very good record. And that's why he's, yes, definitely considered by many. The GOAT, as I said before, with many sports, I think it just should be like of their eras and stuff. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be panic stations at Ferrari, guys. So it's fine. You can breathe. You can breathe with 23 minutes remaining of this morning session. Not what we wanted to see of Lewis Hamilton. Maybe we'll see more of him. Maybe they'll do what Red Bull did with Isaac Hadjar yesterday, where he missed most of yesterday's morning session due to an engine issue. And now he is in... and then he stayed in the car for the afternoon, which is why Max is in the car all day today. Is the flip wing working or not? We don't know. We've seen it work, but we don't know if it is... We haven't seen any more of it. We only saw a couple of images for it with it being tested out. So then he went into the pits again. So, who is out there on a potential push lap? Ollie Bearman? He's on a push lap, maybe. He's on a second lap here of this medium compound tyre. 30.388. Not particular. Is that quick? I don't think that's quick. No, it's not particularly. His fastest first sector, Ollie Bearman, is actually a 29.8. So that's half a second off for Ollie Bearman in the first sector. What is the point of the flip wing? So supposedly, it's supposed to be more efficient and allows them more braking stability. Supposedly. The upside down wing is an Australian GP spec. Trying to find a better... Trying to see... I think by now, unless you're Aston Martin, you've probably got 90% of the data you need, so I'm sure Ferrari and whoever else breaks down won't be right. No, exactly, yeah, I'm sure of that as well. I mean, they've had so much testing, haven't they? Shakedown tests. 3 days of the shakedown at Barcelona, 3 days last week. Second day now. Missing a session is not going to be the end of the world for them, for sure. Bottas is out there driving the Cadillac with the left blinker on. Probably have to be American to get that joke. Yeah, Bottas getting some good laps in for Cadillac, by the way. 50 laps on the board for this morning. That's much better for Cadillac than yesterday. Yes, 6.7 seconds off of the fastest time. But they are just plodding around at the moment, doing the necessary data gathering that they need. Max Verstappen 31.2 in the first sector. Lando is still on these long runs here, so we'll see. Let's have a look at the interesting though, guys. We've got a increase in top speed here today. Gabriel Bortoleto in your speed traps has achieved 337 kilometers an hour. What is that in miles per hour? That is 209 miles per hour. Gabriel Bortoleto has achieved down the start-finish straight today. Lawson 241 in the first sector. Verstappen 236 in the first sector, which is probably at the end, up into turn 4. So yeah, Max's fastest time, by the way, he only achieved 314 kilometers an hour down the start-finish straight, whereas Norris did 11 kilometers an hour quicker. So that's interesting. That's interesting there, and Max was only just over a tenth behind. So. What's my favourite sport outside of F1? To play golf, but I would say probably to like watch and stuff is football. Yeah, probably football. Depends if West Ham are playing well or not. My team in the Premier League. But yeah, viewing wise, football. And then I do watch golf. I don't watch golf consistently, though. I kind of just watch the big events, the majors, the Ryder Cup, sometimes like the FedEx Cup, like the big events, really. There's so much golf on. It's similar with football, but yeah. Football's like my second most watched sport outside of F1. Dosco, you think the tyre wear will be key factor, even if Mercedes or any other team had the fastest car? Race pace would decide the outcome. I think Ferrari looked confident enough not to be worried. I agree, Dusko, and this is something that's being massively overlooked as well. Is that it's all well and good, and this is why I think Red Bull are looking very good, because I personally haven't seen Max really be wild in that car. Like, I think that Red Bull, for the most part, from what I've seen, looks very balanced. There have been moments out of turn 14 where he's stamped on the throttle and the rear's got a bit loose on him. But in every other corner on this circuit, I haven't seen a lock-up from Max. I haven't seen an off from Max. Whereas I've seen that from George. I've seen that from Kimi. I've seen it from Piastri, from Norris, Charles and Lewis. Like, I've seen them all have these moments. Now, arguably this week, I haven't seen that from Ferrari, but I have seen it from Norris. I've seen it from both Mercedes powered units. I mean, I'm literally watching Lando right now have a wobble in the last corner. I've seen him have a few lockups today. So I feel like Red Bull is definitely, and they haven't really done a proper race sim yet. That's also something to be aware of, is that they're not willing to kind of show that yet. And I think Max and Red Bull in a very good position. And yes, tyres, with how these cars, you've got to remember, the drivers have said fundamentally, while the focus has been on the energy deployment and so forth, that's going to become kind of like null and void if you can't keep your tyres in check, and if you're not careful on your throttle when you're stopping the car from sliding. And the drivers have specifically stated that these cars do have less downforce, they're a lot more fun to drive, and they do slide around more. But sliding is not good for tyre wear. It's going to increase your temperatures, and it's going to increase wear, especially at high abrasive circuits like here at Bahrain. So it's not going to be good if you're sliding the car around. And I've seen more of that from the Mercedes and the McLaren than what I've seen from Max in the Red Bull and from Ferrari this week. So, yeah, going to be still massively vital tyre management this year. You could have the perfect battery deployment, but if you're not able to keep the tyres in proper condition, then those who have got, like, we already think, right, that the top 4 are quite close. So, yes, they're quite close, and someone will probably have the edge over maybe overall horsepower or battery deployment, but if those tyres fall off a cliff and they're not able to keep them in condition, and the other teams who are not that far behind them are able to fare much better, then yeah. So definitely an element that is being overlooked still is the tyres. You love how testing is basically a chatting session with me. I love it as well. I love it as well. I love talking F1. You guys know that. Oh, green first sector for Bortoletto. On the testing tyre, we don't know what level of compound this is. This is what this testing is for, really. We can pick things out, of course, but it's an opportunity for us to get hyped for the season, right? We're only 2 weeks tomorrow from our first competitive, or say first competitive session, it's first practice session of the calendar season in Australia. So, see Max have one tail happy corner early this session. Exactly, Wobbly. And that was out of turn 14, where you're really trying to obviously get on power early to maximise your top speed down into turn 1. So, but the corners where I've seen people have be tricky into turn 1, turn 4, turn 8, I've seen some moments, turn 10 in particular, I haven't seen anything from Max. So it would be typical, wouldn't it, right? It would be typical if Max hates these cars, is the most outspoken about how he's not enjoying these cars, and he ends up winning the World Drivers' Championship, right? Like, I feel like that's nailed on. I feel like the guy who has been most critical of the cars and how he's not enjoying F1 ends up winning the World Drivers' Championship, right? Max, you've just won your 5th world title. How do you feel about it? Well, yeah, I'm glad I got my 5th, but I didn't enjoy the experience. That was a terrible year of F1. Like, it would be the most Max thing ever to win this year. It would be, to be fair. And I think therefore, on one hand, I think F1 would be like, yeah, Max has got another title. That's good for the sport. Obviously, big fan base and so forth. But then I think they'd be like, oh my God, what's he going to say? He's been so critical of these regs all year and these cars all year. What is he going to say at the prize giving ceremony and stuff like? Yeah, I'm glad for my 5th, but I hated every single lap I did in these cars this year. Every single qualifying session, disgusting. We wasn't flat out once. So many Kimi Räikkönen vibes. Yeah, I think he exceeds the Kimi Räikkönen vibes, because Kimi was blunt, but he was a man of few words. Max is not a man of few words. Max has lots to say. Max has lots to say. That's the difference. He's blunt. As anyone who, well, you know, if you've obviously, of course, we have Dutch viewers. Welcome, welcome. And Dutch listeners will be listening to this back. Yeah, you're blunt. It's part of your culture. Some people like that, some people don't. And yeah, Max is very much the epitome of that. And he's in a position where he can be like that as well. He can be critical. He's 4 times world champion. He knows he's in a position of power in the sport. Highest paid on the grid as well. And yeah, he can come out and say what he wants regardless. And what are the FIA going to do? Like, obviously, Mohammed bin Sulayem may try and penalise him or whatever. But yeah. Max is a liability and a gift for F1 at the same time. Yeah, it's true. Probably a liability for FIA. No, also, yeah, probably also for Liberty Media as well. So, who do I think will be better, Audi or Cadillac? PS, love the stream. Been watching every race in Singapore. Oh, thank you, Leonardo. Welcome back, by the way. Ooh, you know what? I think it's going to be a real battle between those two for last spot. I can't separate them. I think Bortoletto's had a better morning. I say he had a better morning. I mean, he's only done 29 laps. They've equally got their challenges. But I think if Cadillac finishes ahead of Audi, that is a bigger win for Cadillac than it is like... I mean, Audi finishing last and behind Cadillac would be terrible for them because they've taken over an existing F1 team. Cadillac are starting from scratch. But I do, unfortunately, think it will be a battle between those two. Just looking from what we've seen from testing as well, both have struggled with like reliability gremlins. Audi, of course, with their own power unit. Okay, Cadillac don't have that. They have the Ferrari power unit, but everything else is brand new and started from scratch. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting fight between those two. Kimi was hilarious. A man of few words, but they all had 4 letters. You've been watching F1 since 1959, Harry, and you put Max in your top 5 biggest whingers in the sport's history. I think, look, drivers are all whingers, right? They all whinge, some more than others. I do think Max is definitely a whinger. But they all are. Senna was a whinger, Prost was a whinger. They've all had, like, you got to remember as well now, I think, like, obviously the TV coverage and the level of access that we have to F1 now as well. The amount of whinging that we have access to is a lot more out there for us to see as well. But yeah, racing drivers are all whingers. Just listen to the radio messages and stuff. Oh, Lewis Hamilton! There's movement in the Ferrari garage. Lewis Hamilton, the awnings are out. The awnings have been removed, and Lewis Hamilton is adjusting himself into his Ferrari car for the last 9 minutes of this session. There you go. Did I see Alonso said he is confident that they will have the best car in the second half of the season? I mean, that's all well and good, but what about the first half of the season, Alonso? What about the first half of the season? Could you imagine? I don't think Raikkonen would be impressed with the way things are going. Minor issue, 3.5 hours to fix. Minor, it's just minor. Dusko, have I noticed that every year in testing, lower teams top the table, but this year? No, that is interesting. Yeah, last year we had Williams top a couple of times, didn't we? But yeah, this year it's definitely the top teams covering the top spots. Max uses it as a running commentary. Don't give you sleepless nights, Lewis Hamilton. But we'll see. He was getting back in the car. So, I mean, it'd be nice to see him out in the afternoon. It'd be a pretty wasted time. So, red flag. Red flag. So, this is them testing at the end. So, we're going to have a practice start procedure again. This is them testing their systems at the end of the day, by the way, guys. Red flag. I think it will be an interesting season, yeah. And I've said before, I do think, and I said this at the end of last season and in the run-up to this season, is that I do think we are potentially going to see a few changes in these regulations throughout the year. There'll be a few technical directives because they're going to discover what does and doesn't work throughout the year. And it could be that, yes, these regs not fundamentally change because that's primarily down to the power unit, but I think there will be implementations put in place to how these cars operate by the end of this year and going into next year. And that could really change up the order. And we've already got the power unit compression ratio thing that's been discussed and is going to be allowed to be run until at least August because of a testing procedure that still needs to be voted upon, by the way, which will be next week, supposedly, from the power unit manufacturers. Whether that will be brought in for August. But if that is brought in, then there's 13 races which the Mercedes power units can be run at their current spec, and that will benefit them. And then maybe they'll be really slow, and there'll be a change up of the order again of who's quickest in the second half of the season. And there's lots of races, just because, as we saw last year, just because you're leading into the summer break doesn't mean that you're going to be leading come the end. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I just hope we aren't doing running starts. That's the thing. No, we aren't going to get... what, running starts as in... What, rolling starts? Is that what you mean, Harry? I don't think we're going to get rolling starts, no. We're going to have another practice start where the procedure is slightly longer. But it's not that much longer. It's not that much longer. So I'll just run through what has been... is being trialled out this week. Because our... friendly, reliable source is Adam Cooper. Did detail what the start procedure will be. So, this is your starting procedure for this week that is being trialled and was trialled last night. The FIA will test a new start procedure that will have a red flag shown 10 minutes before the end, roughly 10 minutes before the end, which is what we just had there. The cars will return to the pit lane, which they have now subsequently done. The cars will then complete a formation lap, followed by an additional formation lap, so 2 formation laps basically, before lining up on the grid for a simulated race start. Once all the cars are in position, a new pre-start warning will begin. All grid panels will flash blue for 5 seconds. So at the moment, it is really only an additional 5 seconds that they're being given once everyone is lined up on the grid. So rather it being lined up on the grid, last car lines up on the grid, and then the lights start to go out, they're being given an additional 5 seconds. And then after that ends, the usual start sequence will begin of lights on and out. So that is what we currently have at the moment. They are going to be doing an additional formation lap. It seems to be that only a couple of drivers are out there doing this additional formation lap, so maybe not every team wants to participate in this practice start. But watching Lewis Hamilton out there and watching this flipping of the rear wing, which is very interesting to witness, guys. Very cool. It's very cool to see. It'd be interesting to see if Lewis Hamilton does participate this afternoon. But he's out there for the race start simulation. Seems to be good, so. Only 5 laps this morning, Lewis Hamilton. It will be 6. It potentially will be 7 by the end of this 2 additional formation laps. But that rear wing flipping over does look cool. It does look cool. I like it. I do like it. Just watching it again now. It's cool. Flips open. It rolls under. It's cool. It's cool. What's happened till now, Mo? Not too much to discuss this morning, to be honest with you. There haven't been any moments. They're lining up on the grid now for a practice start. Norris has been very good. 72 laps for him this morning. Verstappen 56. Russell 77. I'm surprised Russell didn't do another push lap or a quicker lap, but so I don't think, by the way, this is the standing start right now. They should be doing an additional formation lap, but we'll see. Morning, Andy. Good to see you, mates. He will be in the car this afternoon. Has that been confirmed, Aaron? Has that been confirmed? Okay. So extra formation lap. That is the procedure for these starts at the moment. And then I don't know what the reason for the additional formation lap is at the moment. Is that to give them additional time to be able to spool up the turbos? Do they need 2 formation laps to be able to get the turbos spooled up? Is that the reason? And then that's why we then only need 5 seconds additional on the grid rather than rather than having 15 seconds. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Max will participate in the later practice start. Probably. Ferrari mechanics were just having an early lunch. Told you they're having their espressos and a smoke. Never take much from testing. I'll wait till the first race to get an idea. You are very wise to do so. The extra starts for help working out what to do at the start for the new blue light sequence. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's. So we just run through what the new start procedure is at the moment that they're trialing out. So it is 2 formation laps, and then it is a 5 flashing blue lights that will stay on for 5 seconds when they line up on the grid. Then the normal start procedure of the red lights on and then lights out will begin. So in effect, they're getting 5 seconds extra on the grid. However, I wonder if this extra formation lap is necessary. I reckon it's probably if it's necessary, it's due to the turbos, so that they don't have to sit still on the grid as long. Because I don't think it's a particularly good look, is it? to have them sitting there revving for like 15 seconds, 20 seconds on the grid, is it? 5 seconds is a bit overboard for a turbo to spool, though. Yeah, but have you seen how long they actually need to spool these turbos up for? Like, have you seen them, like, with their practice starts from the pit lane? Like, to get it up to the levels that they want to, they're sitting there for 20-odd seconds. So that's not good. I mean, F1's very different to, like, road cars and stuff, isn't it? Like, another racing series. But, yeah, that's supposedly what they're trying to avoid, is that. But we'll see. Right, here we go. Practice starts. Does that work? Where's my lights out? Where's my lights out? Bing, hang on. No, that's end stream. It's lights out, away we go here at Bahrain, and Norris has stalled at the first race of the season. Lewis Hamilton leads for the first time in 2026 after missing the whole morning for an engine issue. There we go. That's my practice. That's my practice. By the way, I've just watched the TV back. Unbelievable launch by Lewis Hamilton. Can I just... Mate, George Russell spun up the rears of the car, had a bit of a tank slapper, and Lewis nailed the start. Woo! Ferrari hopium. The Ferrari hype, it's real. Do it, guys. There may be a certain I'm changing top in the afternoon, just by the way, guys. I'm changing top. By the way, unbelievable. I can't get over that launch by Lewis. Lewis went, watch this. George actually spun up the rears. Oh, so Lando, I don't know if Lando even decided to go or not, but George actually had a tank slapper and would have lost multiple positions there at the start. I'm just saying. What does it matter? What does it matter if you've got an extra 2 ratio on your compression in your engine? Doesn't matter if you've got 18:1. If you can't get off the line, what does it matter, right? No, I'm not, Jarvis. I'm not. But that was the first insight into the start procedure that will benefit Ferrari. Did you see that, Connor? Did you see that? What a launch. And George, like, effed it up, but that was a good launch by Lewis. I mean, that's the only thing he's had to do all morning, to be fair. He only did 5 laps, so... yeah, but confirmation there. Thank you, Aaron, for confirming that, yes, Lewis Hamilton will be in the car for the remainder of the day. Charles will be in the car all day tomorrow. So, yeah, makes sense. Do Ferrari even need to qualify to lead into Turn 1? I know, right? Well, they probably still need to just make it into Q3. But just Q3, and they're leading down into Turn 1. My goodness, what a launch that was. That was a very, very interesting start procedure there. If you're Ferrari, I would be just accepting that race start procedure. I imagine now the other teams will be going, no, we need that. After seeing that, they're going to be straight onto the FIA saying we need a longer start procedure. That's what they're going to do. But yeah, very interesting. All part of the Ferrari master plan. The year of the horse. Exactly, Trev. Exactly. What happened? You went for a snack. So we just had a practice start procedure. And basically, the rumour that Ferrari has a smaller turbo to combat this rate start procedure to ensure that they have a better launch, so they don't have to spool up turbo for so long, because they foresaw this issue and they got voted down on wanting changes to the rate start procedure. They went and accommodated for this, and now the other teams want to change it. We saw for the first time, I believe, just there, the advantage that, yes, Ferrari would have off the starts, because Hamilton had a brilliant launch there. George had wheel spin off the line, so it didn't go well for him. But even the Haas of Behrman, who was behind him, I think it was Behrman, he drove away from him. Like, it was a very good launch. So, wobbly. 20 seconds would mean the turbo would be the size of an F1 tyre. Fair enough. I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend to... I'm not going to disagree with you, because I don't know the intricacies. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know the intricacies of turbos and so forth. I have very base knowledge, but that's supposedly what they're doing. So Haas as well, rockets off the line, beat Russell from 4 rows back. Yeah, but I mean, look, to be fair, Connor, it was Russell dropping. Like, I don't know if he dropped the clutch or whatever, but his race start obviously wasn't good with the tyres spinning off because he spun the tyres. But yeah, doesn't bode well, does it? Norris, I think, purposely didn't pull away when he wanted to, because he had no one in front of him. So Norris held back, so it wasn't like he hit anti-stall, I don't think. And George, yeah, most definitely dropped the ball there. So a little bit of an insight. Very interesting. Hamilton had an engine issue, guys. That's why he missed this morning. So he was able to get back. It seems like they fixed it. I mean, supposedly it was an engine issue. I don't know if it was, but they purposely missed this morning's session, and Lewis will be in the car this afternoon now. So, but yeah, very interesting end there. So, how long is the break? It's an hour long. I am now going to go have something to eat, guys, and have a little break myself. I will be back. Let me just put up session start counter so that you guys know. The stream will be staying live. That is for sure. But I will just obviously be muting the stream while I nip off and do some chores, to be fair. I've got to put a wash on. Mrs. orders. Session start. But yeah, not really too much to write home about there. We did see the fastest time of this week from Lando Norris with a 33.453 on the C3 tyre. Max Verstappen was just over a tenth back on the Lando was on the C4 tyre. Max's time was on the C3, which was only just over a tenth back. So, very good lap time from Max Verstappen, considering he was on a harder compounder tyre. And I think that Red Bull still looks very good in Max's hands. McLaren, as I said before, write them off at your own peril. I think they are definitely a team to keep an eye out on. And yeah, that is kind of really it. Not too much else to note further down. Yes, Bortoletto set a decent lap time in the end of 35.2, but it was on a testing tyre. Not a lot of lap times for him. 29 laps. Liam Lawson similarly only 27. Bottas, even though they didn't set any decent lap times, Bottas did a lot of laps this morning with Caddy. Considered very, very big contrast to yesterday, where they did half the amount of what he did this morning, which is 58. So yeah, much better positives for Cadillac, and that's pretty much about it to write home about. George Russell should have. I was surprised he didn't do a better lap time, because he likes to stick in a good one. Good news for Williams as well there, with 71 laps on the board, so they're looking positive. I think Carlos Sainz is in the car in the afternoon, and yeah, should be a good afternoon session. You can tell the new engine rigs weren't designed by the same people as the new aero rigs. Either that or they rushed their homework on the engine a bit. So the engine rigs were decided quite a while ago. Basically, the engine rigs were designed in the way that they are to convince the VAG group, so the Volkswagen, is it Volkswagen group basically, who were with Porsche, obviously the Porsche Audi unit, and it was to get them into the sports. I think it was primarily driven by... Jarvis, thank you for the 5 gifted, by the way, buddy. I think it was primarily driven by the VAG group in the form of Porsche, because Porsche were going to be partnering up with Red Bull, if you remember. And then Porsche decided to pull out of... But they were only going to join based upon this 50-50 split that we've got now. And And then what happened is that the deal fell through with Porsche and Red Bull because Christian Horner wanted to retain control of the team and certain elements of the team, and which Porsche wanted control of, and that fell through. But then these regulations were still in motion, and then Audi, the VAG group said, well, we'll come in the form of Audi, basically. And then that's why we're basically in the position we are now. And everyone had to accommodate these regulations, these engine regulations, and yeah, basically blame Audi. So, bit of a shame. So, Porsche Red Bull team up feels like ancient history now. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So long ago. But yeah, we'll see. It's a shame because the regulations, the aero regulations, are actually a positive step forward. The cars look absolutely amazing. I said before, like, I feel like, you know, you've got a good set of aero regs, or you got good looking, like, you got good cars back when you know, like, there's certain cars. Okay, none of the liveries really pop off. I think there's good, some liveries are better than others, but none of them really pop off. But there are liveries that, but these are cars that you would, I think, pin up on a poster on your wall. You know, if you were a kid, like, they're that good looking again now. And the drivers like them as well, but it's just the engine that is obviously a sour note at the moment. But we'll see how it translates to racing. That's the real question. That's what matters most. So all well and good plodding around on your own and doing these race simulations and stuff, but when you're racing around other drivers and racing for meaningful positions and points, that's when we're truly going to see how these new systems operate. So, but oh really, Max? Right, let's go have a break. I suggest you guys do the same, and we will be back in 47 minutes or so. See you then. Bye for now.